Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Candiota County Board of Commissioners meeting for October 21st, 2025. Please stand for the pledge. I want to thank everybody for being here today. We have a number of presentations, and thank everybody catching us on YouTube. At this time, we will move to approve the agenda, which there was a revision on this earlier that was sent out, but I'd look for a motion to approve today's agenda.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner Dwayne Anderson moves. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Dale Anderson seconds. Discussion?
Is the revision reflected on here?
Yep. And with that, all in favor of the approving the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next item is the approval of the consent agenda. Those non-controversial typically items are the approval of the October 7th, 2025 County Board legal minutes, approval of the auditor's warrants and claims, approval of human services warrants and claims, cancellation of human services warrants, either items that were wrong amounts or that type of thing. And then a United Community Action Partnership contract addendum to the 2025 Local Homeless Prevention Aid Service Agreement. Do any commissioners wish to pull any of these items for further discussion? Hearing none, then I would accept a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Abdeck moves. Is there a second?
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Commissioner Berg seconds. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. It's that time of year again, and today we have Doug Host with Clifton Larson Allen presenting the audit for year ending December 31, 2024. Doug, take it away.
Awesome. Can everybody hear me okay? Well, I needed some support today. So with me today is Liz Mickelson. She's the director on your audit as well. She makes sure the audit goes smoothly, does tons of communication and training with our staff, and we help out your staff as well. But Liz will present part of the audit results today. I am Doug Host. I've been a principal at Larson Allen for Clifton Larson Allen for about 23 years now. Been auditing counties for 34. And yep, that means I started when I was 10. So just kidding. So Kelsey, or is someone driving?
Yep.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we're already on page 3. And here's just a quick, a little agenda. We already did the introduction. I'll go through some required communications and internal control items. That's required by audit standards. We'll spend about a minute on the Minnesota legal compliance testing that the state auditor's office requires us to do. We'll touch on the single audit that we perform because the county receives a lot of federal grants. We're required to do some testing of controls and compliance. Liz will talk about the financial results for Candiota County in 2024, and then I will wrap it up. So if we can jump ahead to page 6. The audit standards require us to communicate certain things to the board, okay? And we do that in 2 ways. One is in a separate letter. It's about 4 pages long. It's very boilerplate. I'll just touch on the high points. We didn't encounter any difficulties in performing the audit, and we also didn't have any disagreements with management. This year's audit went very well. It was actually completed 2 weeks earlier than last year. It's been done for a month or so already now, but this was the first we could get here to present it. But I know I mentioned this in previous years, but y'all just need to know that the staff here worked very hard to get through the audit. I don't know how many hours they put in each year in preparing and accumulating documentation. But each year since that first year we were here, it's gone better and better. And the number of adjustments that we need to make has gone down and down each year. So I'm super excited to be working with everyone here at Candiota County and with your staff. So it's just, we really enjoy working with you as a team. Just one, and we did issue a clean opinion on your financial statements. That's the best one we can give. It means your financial statements are materially correct as presented. And then just a quick reminder, there's about 150 pages in your report, and if you ever are gonna use just a piece of it, just let me know, because there's some T's I gotta cross and I's to dot. So just a quick reminder, we're already on page 8. That's like a third of the way through these slides. We're zooming, right? All right, page 8, the audit standards require us to obtain an understanding of the county's internal controls, test them, and then report them. Report the results of that testing. There's just 2 items in the material weakness category. One is for audit adjustments, and as I mentioned, we have fewer and fewer adjustments since that first year that we're required to make because your staff are adapting and implementing some changes. And so that's good. And then as far as preparing the financial statements, that's just a clerical function. We're required to let you know that we help with the clerical piece of putting your financial statements together. We don't enter any entries into your accounting system. That's all done by county staff. One other required communication, it's probably been around, let's see, 34 years, is the segregation of duties. We're just required to let the board know that there's some departments that don't have complete segregation of duties. It's common with just about every audit that gets done, I think. But just know your overall centralized system has a lot of the segregation of duties built in. It's when there's fewer and fewer people available to segregate those responsibilities. Page 10, there's about 25 pages of items that we need to test for the county's compliance with state statutes. And there's just one item we're required to communicate. It's probably also been around for 34 years because that statute's so old. But you have some individual ditches that have deficit cash. There, we've communicated it. I'm sure you all were aware of it already, but we're just required to bring it back up. All right, page 12. Mention the county received and spent federal grant dollars. So we had to do some testing over 3 programs. The SLFRF, which stands for State and Local Fiscal Recovery F. Liz, what's the funds? Thanks. And medical assistance and Title IV foster care. There's about $9.5 million of federal grant total expenditures. And in the medical assistance program, we had one item we're required to communicate as far as case file reviews. It's a good internal control to have like the supervisor do a periodic review on some cases to make sure that the people that are getting the program assistance meet all the eligibility requirements. It's a really good idea or control to do those reviews. The foster care program, same issue as with medical assistance. And also the county does some time studies where the state checks in with people to see what they're working on, and the state uses that to sort of allocate the bucket of money to the different programs. There should also be a review process when those time study reports get submitted. And then there's another foster care report where it sounds like a review of the reports was done before it was submitted, but then there was a little blip in time where the normal reviewer wasn't there and like one didn't get reviewed. So just required to communicate that. And then with ARPA, that's the COVID money. There's some suspension and debarment requirements. Before you enter into a contract with the vendor, there's a requirement to check this federal website to see if that vendor is suspended or debarred. It sounds like it was done, but we didn't see any documentation of it. So simple thing to address, and ARPA's almost done, so that's good. Also good is last year there were 3 different single audit required communications. We tested them this year and they are resolved. So that's good news. We like to see that for sure. Any questions on the controls and reports that we do? Otherwise, Liz will talk about the financials.
I don't know if this is,
Commissioner Anderson.
all right, thanks, Mr. Chair. I don't know if this is the right place, but do we have enough checks and balances so that, you know, we have like another setup or eyes or signing off on stuff so that, or, you know, enough? So somebody isn't writing a check, you know, to go to Tahiti or something like that.
In general, yes. The biggest chunk of all the transactions that flow through the county, yes, there are a number of checks and balances.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll have maybe a separate checking account in a, what we call decentralized department. And the processes there don't flow through the county's centralized accounting system process. And it's when there's these separate collection points, not the centralized. Here's where there isn't always complete segregation of duties. In the centralized part, yeah, it's pretty solid.
Okay.
The audit standards do say, and the Government Finance Officers Association too says, you know what, they're aware that the segregation of duties exists all over. And sometimes it's just okay to get this required communication. And that like governments like yourself should do a cost benefit analysis. Like, all right, if you really wanted to get rid of this communication, you gotta hire 7 more people out here. Is that cost benefit there when they're only dealing with maybe 30,000 of collections a year? No. So just keep that in mind. When it comes to that segregation of duties, cost benefit is critical.
Commissioner Byrd.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Going back to the results of this, you just read about medical assistance, file reviews of foster care and the APRA. Is that new to this past year, or is that something like happens every now and then going along? I'm assuming that's the case.
No, it's a great question, and it just dawned on me when you were asking. I'm like, oh yeah, there was a big change. So, Liz, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm right. 2024 was the first, pre-2024, DHS said, you know what, time out on all these extra reviews and periodic redeterminations because of COVID and stuff, right? 1/1/24, they took that, they put those requirements back on. And in many of the counties that we audit, these things were popping up because prior to COVID, they had good processes and they were doing the reviews. And then COVID hit and DHS said, no, don't do it for 20 and 21, 22 and 23 and 24, it came back on. So yeah, the things we came across here is kind of typical, but there was a shift in the requirements.
Sure.
Great question.
It was maybe a comment. During those years, there can be a lot of changes taking place in the different agencies as well, so understandable. Thank you.
For sure. Yep.
And the requirements changing as well, so finding staff that are well-versed in changes that just came out a month ago, it becomes difficult for the counties as well. All right.
Okay.
Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry, Roger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Imden.
I am, I think I know the answer. You said ARPA, but the third bullet point down is that
SLFRF.
transposed?
They kind of mean interchangeable,
Okay,
yes,
okay.
yeah.
Because I hadn't seen it listed that way before. And then I have an unrelated question, Mr. Chair. Because you're talking about eligibility, and we're facing perhaps the intensified eligibility in the next couple of years. This audit really wouldn't help that part of it, or who determines that error rate that we're going to be facing at SNAP? Because the year after the fact, almost a year and a half by the time we see all this.
Yeah, I believe this to be the case, but DHS does some of their own internal audits, and they have, I think, an allowable error rate that they're okay with. I can't say this is 100% true, but I believe over the years, this is what I've learned. So they expect some sort of error rate. We don't have that threshold. It's either it's all there, or if it's not, even if it's one, we gotta report it. So, who's going to oversee changes if that happens in the future? It would be more probably DHS is my speculation.
Thank you.
Okay?
Go ahead.
All right, I'll dive into some of the financial results here for 2024. This first graph here is one way we can look at a measure of health for the funds. This is all of your governmental funds, months of expenditures in fund balance. The amount of months of expenditures in fund balance for 2024 was 8.93 months, and that's up slightly from the prior year where you had 8.61 months of expenditures in fund balance. And that typical benchmark we look for across the funds is 5 months. You're well above that. Next, we're going to look at all of the governmental funds combined for revenues compared to expenditures for the last 5 years, kind of looking at trends over the last 5 years here. Revenues have exceeded expenditures in 4 of the last 5 years presented. In general, the expenditures have been consistently trending up, as we would expect for rising costs of operation, cost of living, things like that. Your fund balance ratio has been unchanged, and that's due to those revenues trending up with these increases in costs as well. This next graph looks at revenues by type for the last 5 years for all of your governmental funds. Taxes make up the largest type of revenue source, making up about 42% of your revenues in 2024. We're seeing tax revenue trending up over the last 5 years with increases in the levy. Intergovernmental revenue is your second largest type of revenue, making up about 33% in 2024. This type is going to fluctuate for what kinds of funding is received. You'll see that 2024 is down slightly. That was really in the highway funding that came in the year, and when we dive further into the highway fund specifically, we'll see that. Charges for service makes up the third largest type of revenue with about 15%. Charges for service are trending up over the last 5 years, as we would expect to see as well, for increasing those fees, keeping up with costs. This next graph looks at expenditures by function for all your governmental funds over the last 5 years as well. Won't dive too much into the ups and downs over the years here, just given time. But in general, most functions have a general trend up, as we would expect with increases in costs of operations. The two biggest fluctuations from prior year was in public safety, was up about $3 million from the prior year. The big drivers of that are your payroll, and then also in 2024, a large increase in the amount of inmates boarded. So we saw that number jump, or a lot of those jail costs go up in 2024. Highways and streets were down about $2.5 million, again, which is consistent with the decrease in those highway fundings that we saw on the previous slide. This next graph zeroes in on just your general fund for the last 5 years, revenues compared to expenditures. Revenues are exceeding expenditures for 3 of the 5 years presented here. In this fund, there are about 7.9 months of expenditures in fund balance, also above that target of 5 months. The large increase in expenditures from the prior year in the general fund, again, is that mostly those jail costs, but overall payroll costs were up as well. All right, the next fund we're going to look at here is the Road and Bridge Fund, revenues compared to expenditures for the last 5 years. Revenues have exceeded expenditures for 3 of the 5 years presented. In this fund, there are about 9.2 months of expenditures in fund balance for 2024. And then from 2023 to 2024, both the highway user tax funding from the state and road construction projects, we saw a decrease in both, so trending down together as we would expect. This next slide is the Human Services Fund, same information presented. Revenues have exceeded expenditures for the last 4 years. In this one, there are about 7.6 months of expenditures in fund balance, which is up from the prior year. Both revenues and expenditures are trending up slightly over the last 5 years, as we would expect with those increasing costs of operation. All right, this next graph is a trend of your county indebtedness. So bonds payable for both business type and the governmental funds business type is Glacial Lakes. are trending down for the debt payments being made. So that's your teal line and your dark blue line. Landfill closure liability and your OPEB liability are gonna fluctuate with assumptions. The county really has limited control over those two estimates and the amount that goes into those. Those are your orange and light blue lines. The increase in the lime green line for the Glacial Lakes loans payable is related to the spending of some loans for the, I hope I get the wording right, wastewater treatment facility, I believe, project in 2024. So some of that spending was on loans, so that rolls up into your indebtedness on the financials. The increase in compensated absences, the gray line is mostly related to the implementation of GASB Statement 101, really has an overall immaterial impact to the county. If you look at the big picture government-wide financial statements, but it does kind of show up on the graph there, that increase, changes in assumptions that go into that. We worked with the county to implement that in the current year. Yes.
Commissioner Burke.
Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You don't mind being interrupted in the middle
Not
of
at
this?
all.
Okay, great. From financial results and the county indebtedness, I think it's looking pretty good. And my question to you, do you have any comments about that? And how do we compare to some other areas? Because am I looking at with the right kind of glasses?
I have another board meeting later today for another county, and they issued just in 1 year like 45 million in bonds, about 40, probably more closer to 40. Which, doing quick math, that's less than the debt you have across Glacial Lakes, and whether it's the clean water loans, special assessment bonds. So overall, I would say your debt load, I don't have the ratio or anything, so it's just gut feel, but I'd say it's slightly below the average on the amount of debt you're carrying.
So it's a good position to be in nowadays.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I'm just going to piggyback on this for just a second. Is there some of the debt that is higher in other counties, for example, GO bonds? Because we're really low in that area. Is that typical of counties, do you think?
I would say probably not typical. I would say the GO bonds is generally the primary debt instrument utilized.
And that's typically if, say, a county wants to do a building project or something like that.
Some counties issue GO bonds to do roads too. Yep. So, but yeah, now that you mention, it's like, yeah, that is low on the GO bond side.
It's almost
That's almost
non-existent right
nothing.
now.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else with any questions at this time? Okay, keep going.
All right, the last graph here of the financial results looks at your Glacial Lakes Fund. So this is presented on the full accrual basis, so a little bit different than the other funds we looked at before this. If I was looking at this graph and I was you, I would focus on the dark blue, the red, and the orange lines. Those are your operating lines. I will say, given the full accrual nature of the fund, the net position ones, so the light blue, and gray lines are just a little bit skewed the way it's accounted for. So focus on the operating lines, and we'll see that operating income, operating expenses, and operating income are all trending together each of the last 4 years, with operating income staying above operating expenses in this fund for the last 3 years.
All right, so, this was the third year we've audited Candioi County. You know we love working with you. Financially, the county's in stable position. The boards over the years have made probably some tough decisions, but I think the results of the audit show that the results of those decisions. I mean, financially, your fund balance levels are stable. They're above the recommended minimum fund balance, okay? Are they excessive? I would say by no means, not excessive. Here's one county I have audited. They had like 25 months of reserves in fund balance. And ironically, they had a plan for that money, so even though it sounds like, oh, that's gotta be excessive, it wasn't, because they didn't wanna issue any debt. They were saving and saving and saving and saving to do like this big building project, and they weren't gonna pay interest. So even though on the surface that looked like, oh my gosh, that's excessive, but it really wasn't. They had a sound plan for it. So y'all can go to sleep tonight knowing that the county, as of 12/31/24, was in stable financial position. In that chart Liz went through, there's a little fluctuation in the number of months, but it's stable. And that's the result of the decisions the board makes. So we mentioned we did a single audit. We're gonna have to do one in 2025 as well. GASB, which stands for Governmental Accounting Standards Board Number 101, Liz touched on compensated absences. It made us in the county record some more liabilities, but it's not like you're gonna pay it out right now. It's sort of a paper liability, so don't get too worked up over that. But other than that, again, thank you so much for allowing us to serve you, and we got time for any other questions.
Thank you for that, and does anybody else have any other questions? I'll just ask the one real quick. I think, it's budget season, and it seems as though it's always budget season here. But more and more, we're really looking at the next 4 years as being somewhat critical. So in a way, it's nice to have maybe healthy but not overly robust reserves potentially for those future years. Can you, just in case we need to offset levies or there are other unfunded mandates that come down the road for us, is this the right type of thinking? Or am I looking at this a little skewed? Well, I know I'm looking at it a little skewed.
I would say, no, you're not. And actually, you started off the question mentioning, you're looking 4 years out. And my brain is quickly operating. You probably couldn't see the gears turning, but they were. I'm like, I've been doing this a long time. And I couldn't come up, or I don't think I've ever heard of a city or county that looked more than 1 year ahead when it came to levies and stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, keeping an eye on the future is brilliant. So I applaud you for that. And I think to not just look at 26 budget, but okay, what happens in 27, 28, 29? So if that's a new thing you're doing, I'd recommend you keep doing it, because to just focus on a short period of time, like 1 year, I don't know that serves the county in the best way possible. And if it's okay, I might bring up the idea that, hey, look at more than just 1 year to the other clients. But I seriously am very impressed with that mindset. So I'd say keep doing that. I have audited a government. Okay. I've been doing this a long time. I've seen the federal and state governments cut funding to counties a number of times in them 34 years. And could that happen in the near future? I think we hear some rumblings that there could be more unfunded mandates or take funding away. If all of that comes to fruition, or if only a part of it comes to fruition, you're going to be able to weather that storm because you got some reserves built up. If you were sitting at like 3.5 months of reserves, and if some of those unfunded mandates more are tacked on, you're going to have a hard time rolling through and keeping operations going, okay? I have seen some of our audit clients use some fund balance to cover some costs if the revenues that were budgeted weren't going to be there. If I could give one word of caution, and it would be in all caps, actually it's 2 words, be careful. There's one city I audited, they were sitting in about the same boat as far as the number of reserves that they have, okay, or had. And because the audit got done 8 months after year end, I apologize if I told this story before, but it was so impactful to me when I saw it happen. It like sticks in my brain like crazy. But they had, the year before, they had solid reserves. And then the next year happened, and 8 months after that year end, we did the audit. Oh, and it was going down. Oh, they used some fund balance. Okay, it was still sitting pretty good. Maybe they went from 8 down to 6 or 5. And then that year, we didn't look at any of that current year, 8 months. And then we get to next year, and they're sitting at 3 or 2.5. And I've just never seen a government's reserves decrease that much that fast. And it was because they were using fund balance. And to try to build it back up from 2.5 months to 8 is a painful process. So knowing that, but also knowing that you're looking at not just 26 and 20, you're looking at 27, 28. I think that's very, very important to do. But the word I'd say is be careful if you are dipping into using some of your reserves. If you are gonna do it, I would recommend that you do it on one-time things, not something that's gonna be, I can't even come up with a good example right now, but if you use fund balance to fund something and it's going to just keep rolling and rolling forward, that's gonna just keep dropping the reserves. Does that help?
That makes perfect sense. Commissioner Berg.
We're going to be talking more about the budget later too, as well as between now and December going forward. But from what you're saying, and just to really kind of simplify things, well, first off, I want to really thank all of our staff, from the administrator to the accounting staff, to the treasurer's office, doing an excellent job these
They really are.
several years.
Yes.
But going back to what you're talking about too, and maybe I'm making it really, really simple, is that the good news is going through the last several years, we've came up with a positive revenue versus
Yes.
our expenditures. And that's good, and it can build up that reserves with reasonably. But during those times too, we've also have dipped into our reserves for one-time budgets.
Okay.
So am I thinking then that even though we dip into those reserves, we never really did that, we're replacing those possibly then, since our total revenue months have gone up. So
Yeah.
really, we have not used much reserves at all when it comes right down to it.
I would, if I can rephrase it a little bit.
Yeah.
In the past, you have dipped into reserves.
Yep.
But on the other hand, it was offset by, hey, there's some additional revenue that happened to come in, so didn't end up actually dipping into it. But based on the trend of your charts, yes, I think that's exactly it. You had a plan to dip into it, and you did. But hey, there was some money we weren't expecting that came in that offset it. When that happens, life is good. Is that always gonna happen if you dip in? No. But, yeah,
Some of that, if I may follow up, Mr. Chair, too, is how much we were trying to predict revenue will be. And do we predict enough or not, or what the expenses are going to be? And that's the hard part that I think we run into.
yeah, that's why you all get paid the big bucks to sit there and we just sit on this side of the table. It's hard. It's like, yeah, I can't imagine the process sitting on that side. It would definitely be a challenge. And
Good news and great job by the staff. Thank you.
All right, any last questions for our presenters today? Well, thank you very much, and thank you for the kind comments on the forward-looking, and I think that is a complete credit to the culture that we have within this county when it comes to our finances, both at the board, but especially at the staff levels. And it was kind of you to say today.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. At this time, we'll have Karen Anderson, our Chief Financial Officer, come up, and she has a request of us.
Good morning, Karen Anderson, Chief Financial Officer. As you're aware, now our audit is complete. Next step that we are required to do is have the financial statement printed in both papers in the county, West Central Tribune and Lakes Area Review. So I would like to get board approval to go ahead with that publishing.
All right, you've heard the Karen's request. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I so move.
Motion made to approve the request to publish the financial statements.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Dwayne Anderson seconds. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We're sending around a sheet here for all of us to sign real quick, so Karen can have that. Get this off to the printers.
Okay, thank you.
It looks like Lisa needs to sign off on that as well. So. All right. And we'll get to All right. All righty, very good. Then at this point in time, we will move on to our next item. We'll receive a report on the, from the Fair Board on the 2025 annual report. Katie, come on up and introduce yourself.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Katie Thompson. I'm the secretary for the Candy Ojai County Fair Board Association. I would first like to thank the Candy Ojai County Board of Commissioners for your continued support and partnership through the years. I'm just gonna dump information. Feel free to interrupt, ask questions. Mine wasn't intense like the previous. The 2025 fair was held August 5th through the 9th, and just under 13,000 people came through our gates for the 4 days of fun. Some highlights from the past year. The east entrance construction is 95% complete. And if you haven't noticed, the retaining wall was full of color this year, thanks to the inches of rain and the warmer temps. We appreciate the 4-H groups and the master gardeners who did and will continue to make that area beautiful. New this year, a group of beef cattle farmers sponsored the Candy Ojai Open Beef Show, and that was held on the Tuesday before the fair. Kids from all around the county and beyond showcased their farms and animal genetics. It was a great turnout, and we are already looking forward to planning that for next year. The events in the grandstand were well attended. Wednesday and Thursday, we had the Grateful Frontier Bull Riding Company. Thursday of the week, we featured 18 barrel racers from our area. The barrel racers always brings a wild crowd to that entertainment. Friday was the antique tractor and truck pull. Numbers were slightly down this year with the threat of rain on that Friday evening. Since being on the board about 15 years, the pull wrapped up before 1 a.m. I think we were done and out of there by 11 p.m. Unheard of. Saturday night, Chaos Motorsports brought back the demo derby. Again, a packed grandstand and 40-plus demo cars put on a great show for us to wrap up our evening grandstands on Saturday. On the free stage, we welcomed 2 local Hispanic bands, Aaron Simmons, a Nashville singer-songwriter, Robert Thompson, who is local here to Welmer, Chuck Thiel and the Jolly Ramblers, and local well-known bands, the Dam Jammers and Bowling for Johns. Magic Joe performed his magic shows throughout each day. We had the Los Moralitos Circus also performed every day of the fair. Freddie Justice, the planet's funniest hypnotist, was on stage to kick off Wednesday and Thursday. Multiple livestock shows were held throughout the fair as well. Rabbits, poultry, horse, dairy, goat, sheep, pigs, and even llamas and alpacas took to the show rings. A total of 432 exhibitors. They are from the Open and FFA. I didn't include 4-H, as I'm sure they'll give you their results. Showcased 1,892 exhibits in the baking, canning, crafts, quilting, painting, flowers, photographs, livestock, and more. Our Hall of Industries was filled with local businesses. That included Pampered Chef, UCAP, Bonema Surveyors, the Council of Disability, the Sheriff's Department, Emergency Management, Public Health, Public Works, and a lot more. Local food vendors provided multiple options on the east entrance for food. And the most important was pork chop on a stick and the free sweet corn feed, which of course was also very well attended. There were great turnouts for the Veterans Day program, Senior Citizens Day, and Kids Days this past year. I know I've left out so much of what has been done and held during the fair, but we would probably be here for a very long time. So in closing, I would like to thank the Candioi County Fair Board Association. These men and women put in countless hours before, during, and after the fair. It can also be a very thankless job at times and hours away from their families. We could ask why we volunteer so much of our time, and the only answer as a board we could come up with is it's simply in our blood. So thank you to all of you, our sponsors and donors, and without their contributions, we would not be able to provide 4 full days of entertainment and agricultural education. And again, thank you.
Katie, thank you, and I'm going to kind of lean over here a little bit because one of our board members lives out at the fair during that.
Yes, he does, yes.
That time, and I just want to ask Commissioner Dale Anderson if he wants to piggyback in any of your comments.
Well, I think Katie did a wonderful job. I'm really impressed. That was really good. You know, the fair is in everybody's blood, and the biggest thing that I think that's been unique about the fair in the last few years is we're really trying to improve the fairgrounds and to try to make it a better place for people to come out and enjoy some time. And the one thing that I think that was the coolest this year was the Mexican bands that we had. That was probably one of our bigger turnouts, and people were just having a ball, and that was really unique. The one thing Katie didn't say is we are definitely looking for money. We're going to try and get the other Big Hill issue addressed. It's on the other entrance, and we need some bathrooms, and probably the bathrooms are the most important thing. So that would be the other thing is if, you know, anybody is organization-wise or personally are willing to donate some money to help with us getting some bathrooms rebuilt, that would be the one big thing. But thanks for everybody. Thanks for the board, the rest of the board, and everybody that's helped out with the fair.
Thank you for that. Any other comments from the board? Commissioner Berg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Very good report.
Thank you.
A person forgets about all the details put on a fair.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a complicated business.
It
When you
is.
talk about all those awards and prizes and the organization, and it's a one-time thing, but
Yeah.
also looking at this makes me realize this is more than just a one-time thing,
Yes.
and that you're looking for sustainability and your rental property, and you're doing a good job
Yeah.
on bringing that revenue in as well,
Thank you.
as I see. So, and this is a major impact for our region and our community for economic development.
Yeah.
You know, I hear from other people about how great Candioi County Fair is. And unfortunately, we have a time of one other county and it kind of competes with them.
Yes, yeah.
But they still come here, and I probably have some of the people from Candioi County go there as well.
Yes,
So maybe
yeah.
it's a good deal for both of us. But
Yes.
it's a great program, and I'm so proud to be part of our Candioi County that we have a fair like this. And I want to thank everybody, including Commissioner Anderson, and yourself.
Thank you.
And all the
Yes.
other staff.
Yep. It's not just for 4 days. I work all year. I am finishing up things from last year. I'm planning for next year. It's a big task.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyone else?
I'll just say I was just there one day this year, but my kids really enjoyed the magic act or the magic show or whatever you want to
Yes,
call it.
yeah.
So they had a ball watching that.
And he will be back next year.
Okay.
Yes, so we're excited about that.
All right, Katie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And,
I appreciate your time.
We'll look forward to next year's fair.
Great.
All right, at this time, we'll have a presentation on the Community Health Improvement Plan, and that will be Forrest Rice. Forrest, come on up, identify yourself and who you're with, and good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm Forrest Rice, the public health planner with Candy, Ohio County Public Health. And we just finished up our community health improvement plan, submitted it to the state July 31st, so it's in and everything now. There was a presentation, but I can also describe it too. I don't know if it got through. All right. But with the community health improvement plan, it's something that is a roadmap for improving our community's public health as we go forward with the next handful of years. It's a 5-year period type of plan. And it's built with data, community input, and partnerships. And it is something that's required by the state, but it's owned by our communities. And since we have a community health board with Renville, we share some of those responsibilities, but we also look within our local counties too. So that's why you will see Renville stuff pop up on some of the slides. You can ignore the right side if you want, or if you want to glance over and see our neighbors, that's fine too. But really quickly, to understand our community health, it's really important to understand our community. And with that, Candy, Ohio County has a population, according to the last census, of 43,732 people. And that's over 797.4 square miles. And we are the 23rd most populous county in the state of Minnesota. And we're expected to grow modestly to 46,573 by 2040, and that's according to Minnesota State Demographic Center. So we are a growing rural county, which I would consider us pretty lucky, especially if you look over at the Renville one. Their population's expected to decline, and a lot of rural counties, that's the trend. But Candy, Ohio is still growing, which is a good thing. Growth is good for counties. All right, so moving on. So to get to the community health improvement plan, we have to have community health assessments, which is focused on the people, opportunity, nature, belonging, and trying to move our area to a state of well-being and community partnerships. The community health assessment was done before my time here, so I kind of got to pick up the ball and keep running with it. But during that, they did initial planning and meetings over a year, compiling and analyzing and evaluating different data sources. And they also got a lot of community input. Over 100 community members participated in small group discussions to help inform this work. And through that, they identified the top 10 community health concerns for our county. And with that, the top 10 priority concerns were access to care, and that included general health, mental health, and dental. Adverse childhood experiences, which I'm sure everyone's heard a lot of at this point, but it predicts a lot of later health outcomes in this in life. Adolescent health, aging population, child care access, chronic disease, food security, housing stability, mental well-being, and substance use. But 10 things to focus on would be a lot to do in a 5-year period. So from that, we narrow it down even further to our top 3 health priorities. And we narrowed it down to aging population, mental well-being, specifically for youth, and then substance use as well. And beyond just our community health improvement plan, it's always nice to align it with bigger plans and bigger goals outside of just our counties. So our plan aligns with Healthy Minnesota 2025 to 2029, Healthy People 2030, National Prevention Strategy, Minnesota Adolescent Health Plan, Cancer Plan Minnesota 2025, and Governor's Task Force on Mental Health. That's a snapshot of it. There's more plans that I'm sure plenty of the things fit into, but it's just an example. And now I'll transition into getting into a little more of the data. But before I do that, I like to do a little data 101 just to make sure everyone's on the same page. And apparently not everyone in the world focused as much in math class as I did. I liked it, and I understand most people did not like math. So I like to make sure everyone understands where we're going. So with the data, we were actually able to do some forecasts based on the trend lines and kind of see where we're going to be in the future potentially. But forecasts are not fortune tellers. I don't go to the fair and tell people's fortunes, but forecasts are an educated estimate of what's most likely to happen based on our past data and the data we currently have. So it can give us a good guess of where we're going. And then within that, I have confidence intervals, and the best way to describe a confidence interval is wiggle room. The confidence intervals I used with the forecast were 95% confidence intervals. That means between these two numbers, the real number is likely to fall between them at a 95% success rate. Now, you can't always predict everything, so like 2020, early in the year, we would have never predicted what was gonna happen later on. And that threw so many forecasts off. So if there's big events, major events that no one could have predicted, that's gonna throw things off, obviously. But the narrower range, the more certainty we have, and if it's a wider range, there's less certainty. But our forecasts do improve as we get better data, as we get more data. And forecasting and confidence intervals are just one of the tools we can use for decision-making. And the goal is to not be perfect. It's not like I'm gonna give you the perfect exact number. If my forecast happens to do that, it was luck. Like, but it is to get close enough to make better decisions. So we want the forecast to be pretty accurate. However, sometimes forecasts are wrong, but they're still useful because then we can investigate why they were wrong, kind of look into why reality diverged from what was expected to happen based on the past data. So that's the data 101, really quick little data lesson before we get into it. So I'll go through our different priorities. So we've got the aging population, and with that, I've got some visualizations on it. So this first slide is Candy, Ohio's population. On the bottom, it goes by 5-year age groups. The bottoms are younger populations and the tops are older populations. And there's a slight highlight on those. Those are the 3 age groups that actually grew the most by percentage between, that are expected to grow the most in percentage between 2025 and 2029. And on the right, that shows those percentage changes. And the largest groups were 75 to 79 is expected to have a 17.79% increase between 2025 and 2029. 80 to 84 is expected to have a 15.39% increase. And then 45 to 49 is expected to have a 9.17% increase. So what that tells me, all those age categories, especially the 2 biggest growing ones, are in our aging groups. It's not our younger populations, which is something when we're looking at populations that can kind of become a concern when you're not having the younger populations replacing the older ones. There's explanations for that, like you've got the baby boomer generations at that, and like as people age, they go into a new category too. So some of them are graduating to the next category. But the concern is when you look on that chart on the right, those younger groups just aren't replacing the older groups as much to where they're either declining or staying pretty stable. So if we move on, you're gonna skip the next one because it's just run bills.
I just want to comment that
Yes.
I'm gonna strike the idea of getting older. And I'm just gonna tell people I'm graduating.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, you're graduating to the
different
next
realm.
age group. Yep, exactly.
Please continue.
Yes. With this is just some of the bullet points on what those graphs tell us. It's got those 3 highest climbing groups by percentage. But the concern is age groups under 20 are remaining flat or decreasing. And there's always going to be a combination of factors that can contribute to that, and things that you can look into, and it's really hard to pinpoint one single reason that happens. But some of the major ones are just cost of living, and even access to childcare kind of affects that as well, as we know. And also, one important thing to note real quick too is Candy, Ohio's groups of 65 plus are make up a larger share of the portion of our population than other areas in the state. So that's another thing to pay attention to as well. And then our goal for our aging population is to support healthy aging by ensuring that older adults in our communities have the access to services, supports, and the environments they need to maintain independence, safety, connection, and quality of life. So it's making sure people are aging, but they're aging comfortably and having the resources they need. Then moving on to mental well-being, and this is more focused on youth, so looking at ages 18 and under. The left two bars are the ones that are important to us because they're Candio High. These are the adverse childhood experiences from the Minnesota Student Survey that happened in 2019 and then 2022. So the one on the left is the 2019, the one on the right is 2022. And the base of that is the children experiencing 0 ACEs. And then the top, it goes up by ones until you get to the top towards 4+ ACEs. And the 4+ is where we really start to get concerned because that's where a lot of the research shows a lot of future health outcomes are affected. And unfortunately, for both counties, you can see the children experiencing 0 ACEs is decreasing, which is not a good thing. And the ones experiencing 4+ ACEs is increasing at a higher rate, which is very concerning. However, I'll try to explain this one. Between 2019 and 2022, there's a major disruption that's never happened to school-age children before, and that's the COVID stuff and not happening. So I'm hoping when the 2025 data comes out, because they just did the survey in the spring, hopefully we have some more positive things, and hopefully I can say, hey, look, there's some recovery happening, but I don't know that until I have the data.
And for the folks out there who are watching this, give us a couple of examples of ACEs, of adverse childhood experiences.
Yes.
It's not necessarily intuitive.
Yeah, so an adverse childhood experience, they have a questionnaire of 10. But it can really be any bad thing that happened to a child in their childhood. And every child experiences them differently, but an example could be someone is in the household with a mental illness, or a parent spent time in jail apart from their child, or they've seen one parent hitting another parent. Experiencing those things during childhood have consequences later in life, and seeing some of those things.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, and then moving on to the next one. The left side, they look almost identical, so it doesn't really matter, I guess. But the left side one is Candio High. And this is the number of 11th graders that feel good about themselves. And it's split up into they almost always, most of the time, sometimes, and like rarely or never. And you can see it's pretty split on the ones that over half the time are feeling good about themselves and over half the time aren't feeling good about themselves, which is really unfortunate to see. You would hope most children all the time are feeling good about themselves. So this is another thing that's really concerning about the children's mental well-being, and it correlates with the ACEs and the climbing amount of ACEs. Like, it's hard to feel good about yourself when you're having these bad experiences in childhood. And then the left is the one that matters for Candio High. This is our forecast for mental well-being. So the state of Minnesota has this really great collaborative, Health Trends Across Communities, that is a collaboration with the different health systems. And not all Minnesota health systems participate, but lucky for us, CentraCare does. So it takes electronic health records, and it shows us every diagnosis, like, counts within our county. And it is expected to account for over 90% of our population. So that's really nice too. But that single line on the left before it spreads out is the actual counts that we've had. I adjusted for population, but those are the actual counts we've had between 2020 and 2024. And then the ones that spread out are kind of the projections of where it could end up by 2029. So these are those forecasts I was talking about. The central line is the true forecast. If I had to give you one number, that's the one number that the trend line shows where it should end up by then. And then the two lines on either side of that kind of make up that shaded area, that's that confidence interval I was talking about. So the chance of it ending up between those two, the upper confidence and the lower confidence, is set at a 95% probability of that. However, I also like to see scenarios that we might not expect, especially since that happened to the world a few years ago. So I like to have a pessimistic view of it. So that top line is mental health diagnoses just really climb in children within the next 5 years. Something that we could have never predicted happened. COVID happens again, and that's what happens there, and it just climbs, and we get a lot more diagnoses of children. Or there's the optimistic one, that bottom line, we actually start to level it out a little bit, and hopefully in the future, like, get it to decline. One thing I also would like to say, though, is just because there's an increase of diagnosed mental health cases in children doesn't always mean it's necessarily a bad thing. It could be we got better at diagnosing something. We have a better intervention. There's less stigma surrounding it, so parents are more likely to bring their kids in. So there is a positive side to it as well. I don't want it to be all doom and gloom like, oh, cases are always climbing. Sometimes we just get better at identifying them. So with that, the adverse childhood experiences are climbing, and Candy Ohio's rates are climbing at a higher rate than the statewide rates as well, which is a little concerning. The 4+ ACEs grew from 5.1% to 8.1% between 2019 and 2022. I'm hoping to see that go back down a little bit with the 25 data. Only 21.1% of 11th graders report almost always feeling good about themselves. And then 1,103 children with mental health diagnosis in 2024, on trend to rise to around 1,718 by 2019 is where our trend's going. And with our mental well-being goal, it's to promote the mental well-being of children and youth by increasing access to supportive environments, early intervention, and community-based resources that foster resilience, emotional health, and positive development. And then our last priority is substance use. The taller bars on the left are the ones that we're concerned about. Candy, Ohio County, it's because we have a higher population. We have more cases of substance use. We also use the HTAC data, so these are actual diagnosed cases. The dark bars on the bottom are diagnosed with a substance use disorder only. The lighter bars on top are combined substance use and a mental health diagnosis. So as you can see, they're usually comorbid to where you end up with a substance use and a mental health diagnosis co-occurring. So the top of the bar is the substance use total, and then the light blue ones are the ones that have substance use and mental health. And then again, here's, yes.
If I can just, Commissioner Burke.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you for letting me interrupt you. I'm looking at that. That's a lot of cases of in 2024, 2,330 cases?
Yes, 2,330 cases in 2024
And
of
that's-
substance use.
And that jumped from 1,390 in 2020.
Yes, that is correct. So we've
That
been
is-
climbing
wonder-
quite a bit.
Health and Human Services and are very busy.
Yes.
And the mental health centers and the schools are struggling with a lot of different issues too. Wow.
And then here's the trend lines and the forecasts for substance use in our county as well. It's a little skinnier because, as you can see on those bars before, the trend was actually climbing pretty straight. So that's why that confidence interval, those ones are pretty close together, is because the trend that we have is it's climbing at a pretty consistent increment from year to year, which is unfortunate because you don't want to say substance use cases are climbing, but they are. And the reality is they probably will continue to. But again, it's got the same, like the top one is the pessimistic, okay, we have something happen, maybe some new synthetic drug pops into the market and we get a ton more cases. The bottom one is the optimistic, like, hey, we got some really effective interventions and we're able to help some of these people with this. But those are the trends that we're looking at. And what we do know, substance use cases, they are growing. Co-occurring substance use and mental health cases are rising faster than substance use alone. Again, that could be, we're getting better at, okay, we have a substance use case, maybe we need to screen for mental health as well. It's hard to tell which one's causing which, and it could just be they co-occur. Substance use cases, like Commissioner Berg pointed out, they've increased from
I
1,000.
should have waited.
It's fine. They increased from 1,390 in 2020 to 2,330 in 2024. So over that period of time, we climbed nearly 1,000 cases, which is really concerning to see. And our substance use goal is to reduce the impact of substance use in our communities by strengthening prevention, increasing access to treatment and recovery supports, and addressing the root causes that contribute to substance use. And then if there's any other questions at all, I welcome them.
Commissioner Imdeck.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, you kind of referred to yourself as a nerd about the numbers and stuff, and I love it. The use of graphs for a layperson is a lot more effective than, okay, there's 5,000 here and there's 52 there. What does that really look like in a trend? So your charts and your graphs are extremely helpful. I appreciate that. So going all the way back to the bottom, with the substance abuse increases, one thing I don't see here is a breakdown by age. So where is that occurring, those abuses, and the increase in the abuses? Are they occurring in elderly and the young? And do we know?
We can actually take that HTAC data and we can split it by different age groups. What I know just from like looking at it, but I don't have the concrete numbers in front of me, is it's more of your working adult age is where your biggest issues are. And that can contribute just because like they have easier access to it, all sorts of different things. But yeah, it's more the working adult age group that has the highest rates.
And with the legalization of cannabis, is cannabis included in one of those substance abuses, or is it, I mean, alcohol's legal too, but it can be abused?
Yep, so that's where it's gonna start getting a little bit murky and really hard, because without putting a personal opinion in it, it makes the data really hard to analyze when some things were put into place without a strong plan to actually support those things. So for the most part, it's going to come down to the individual doctors, and if a doctor diagnosed someone with a substance use disorder based on cannabis use, that would be recorded as a substance use thing. But I'm not going to be able to break the data set we have. I'm not going to be able to break it down that much. I'm not going to be able to drill down to what the substance was. Except I do think they have alcohol abuse disorder on there. I can drill that one down, but I can't do cannabis.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say that this was a great process. I serve on the Community Health Board, and a great process all the way through. The top 10 priority concerns, I just want to pick out 3 that didn't make the final 3 cut. And that would be childcare access, housing stability, and food security. My gosh, if people have safe and affordable housing, and they don't have to worry where their next meal is coming from, and they can have childcare access so they can get out in the workforce, this impacts every other item that's on this list.
Oh, yes.
And in a positive way, if we can do that right. So that's really both a community health and an economic development issue, where one area is going to, in economic development, is going to positively impact, for the most part, the community health. So.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And it's unfortunate we can't do all the priorities we possibly want. There's like 140 some indicators, and then like narrowing it down, but.
Well, we could, if our society
Yes,
decided
agreed.
on different priorities.
For sure.
We could do these things.
Well, and a lot of them are definitely interconnected. And just because we picked the 3 doesn't mean the other ones are not important, for sure.
Right, exactly. Commissioner Berg.
It's more natural in public health you'd be picking the one to the end versus the other. So it's our responsibility to work with the other ones even more so. And balance it all out as much as possible. Interesting stuff.
All right, any last questions? Any last comments for us before we wrap it up?
I think I covered all I needed. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you so much, and thank you for your work on this, and we'll look forward to seeing you at our next meeting.
Sounds good.
Good. Thank you now. We will take a 10-minute recess.
says Kennewick County Human Services Department at the top. This is our summary through Q3. So again, to the far right, if we were 100% on budget, all of these numbers would be 75%. We'll start at the top with revenues. We are over on revenues in every line, almost, except levy. If we took levy out of there, our total revenues would be at 83%. So we're very healthy. And of course, we all know the levy payments come in different times of the year. November will be our next biggest. Okay. For expenditures, overall, we are at 71%, again, so that means we're under because we're at 75% of the year. So at our subcommittee meeting that we have with Commissioner Berg and Commissioner Anderson, we showed them a report, one that we use internally quite often, and it sparked some interest since we thought, you know what? Each time I'm up here, I'm going to present some different information to keep it more interesting for you all. So the next thing I have is the dollar bills. Okay, I think that's in your packet. So the most recent information we have is 2022. This nice visual is something that our previous director, Ann Steen, had created. We just think, again, it's a nice visual, tells the story pretty easily. Where this comes from is a very large document. I have in front of me the 2020 report. So this is put together by the state. Again, it's, if you have trouble sleeping some night, you should pull this up and read it. It's everything you would ever want to know about, again, human services in the state of Minnesota. It shows how we compare with other counties. So the 2022 is not printed yet, is not published, is not, but I was able to get the data charts from the person who prepares it. So this is accurate information, this that we put on the dollar bills. All right, so side by side, the blue box for every dollar spent on human services in Kennewick County, the blue box is all government funds, state, federal, and local. The bronze color is just our Kennewick County levy dollars, okay? So we'll talk about the levy dollars, Kennewick County, what we spend. Okay, the largest amount goes towards children's services, primarily child protection. And then it's mental health, all the way down to developmental disabilities, okay? And again, side by side, if you look at all tax dollars, the blue, medical assistance by far is the most spending. Down to adult services, support programs, and the very bottom there is chemical dependency. Something Commissioner Gardner mentioned earlier about childcare. Unfortunately, you can see on both of these that childcare is next to the bottom, local and national and state. So again, a very good visual, especially now with the federal funding and the changes happening there. Again, we want to show you that, again, nationally and statewide, medical services is where most of the spending is. Again, it's been thought of as a sort of a national issue, right? Where the local issues, they've always said, again, we're children's services, mental health. Again, things are changing. This may look different in a few years, but I want you to understand where this is coming from. Again, 2022 is the most recent statewide data that we have. So I did hand out, when we were on break, I didn't have this done in time for the packets, but I just want to show you again another visual. So human services costs by major program at the very top. Health, you can see clearly, is where most of the money is spent. Long-term care, nursing homes, okay? Social service programs is the next biggest, and then support programs. And then those, you can't break out health programs any further because that is medical assistance. That is everything medical assistance pays. But if we break these out further by social service costs, adult services, those are our waiver programs, keeping people in their homes. Children's services, child protection, developmental disabilities. Again, you can see those are the three biggest. Support costs, and again, someone mentioned SNAP. When you talk about support costs, that's housing, that's food, that's cash assistance. SNAP with food support is our biggest support program. With MFIP, which is employment and housing. So again, some good information for you all to have. And if you have any questions.
Maybe not so much a question, but as a comment, if we're looking at, these breakouts, And, you know, first of all, on the social services side, the waivered services, the adult services, that's where the state is anticipating explosive growth and budgetary constraints. We know that. But the thing over here that on the next graph that I'm looking at is, you know, SNAP is a little over 10%, maybe 11, 12% at the most of the entire human services costs. And by the national conversation that is being had out there, you would think that that is the single thing that is bankrupting this country. So that's my comment on that. I'm not going to ask you to respond to it, but does anyone have any questions for Carol?
If you want to tie this together with Forrest's presentation, again, adult services, you can see, is growing, and it's a growing cost. And again, medical assistance, a lot of that is long-term care facilities. So the two go hand in hand.
I would have, but I've already talked too much today.
I was, Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Berg.
could you put this on the screen? Would that be possible
You have it in front, can I just do the doc?
Do I?
for the public? And if I may just continue to follow up, this is really well done. This is kind of the information I think is just really great for the public to be aware of, where the dollars are going and why. And you typically look at, you know, what is quote welfare, I'll use that term. It's going for those services that for medical assistance, and that's our elderly and other people in need of medical assistance. An important need. Keep filling that gap.
When I've talked about estate collections here, that's one of our revenue lines. A lot of times when we go to collect on someone who's been in a long-term care facility, the family doesn't realize that they've had medical assistance to pay for that care. So that's a lot of times where they're like, what do you mean you need to collect? Well, someone was paying that bill. Someone had to pay for that care. So again, that's a very large amount.
Well done.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? All right, Carol, thank you so much. And is that it for those reports? Okay, very good. At this time, then we'll call upon Gary Gear. We have a couple of, are these labeled as hearings or?
Two
No.
separate sites.
Okay,
Yep. Oh, I'm sorry, hearings, not hearings, Mr. Chair. I'm sorry, I
all right,
misheard.
very good. Gary, go ahead. You've
All right.
got two nuisance abatement issues that you want to bring to us today.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Gary Gear, Environmental Services Director. And the first nuisance abatement is for, I get my right paper here, for the Dale Flickinger Estate property. It's just west of New London on Minnesota State Highway 9. We had received a complaint about the property on April 14th and was thereafter inspected and a letter sent to the property owner to abate it by May 18th. This site was, I've been working with a couple of the sons, Myron and Joel, to work on the property. Of course, some of the items there are theirs, but it was also their father's property, and so a lot of things had accumulated over time. So they were working on it through the summer. You know, there's some progress made, but still, as you can see in the October 8th photos, still a significant amount of solid waste. So that's why we moved forward to this step to ultimately request the county board take action to order staff to abate the nuisance at this property.
So there's a recommendation of staff to have all those, have staff abate all those nuisances and the abatement costs be assessed to the property owner. Is there a motion? I'll move the recommendation of staff. Is there a second?
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Discussion. All right, hearing, Gary, you
I
want
would just maybe add one more positive piece of information. Since October 8th, they have, I had visited with another family member and significant progress has made. I want to move forward with this action today But I'm also feeling confident that we will not have to go in and take care of this. By the time that I could get it scheduled, abatement will have happened. I'm hopeful.
Yeah, we certainly hope that it turns out that way, and in the past, in other situations, it has been.
Correct.
So we'll cross our fingers, because we don't want to do this if we don't have to.
Exactly. Yep.
Commissioner Imdak.
Thank you. So with this action today, triggers an event, but when? So it'll be like by November 15th that the county would move in and clean up if it's not done, or how much time essentially does the family have to?
I would say approximately 3 weeks. If I, get a hold of Public Works and try and get that scheduled, that's the time frame. And so that would be standard operating procedure. If they are still working with me, I'm gonna try and postpone that to simply get it accomplished from the property owner's perspective without us going in.
You don't have trucks waiting to rush
Correct.
onto the property or anything like
Correct.
that, so.
Yes, but this action gives me the authority to move forward with that.
Commissioner Imdak.
Again, do you communicate to the landowner, property owners, when
Yes,
that
that
Public
date
Works
would
will?
be,
Thank
that
you.
is correct.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions for Director Gear? If not, all in favor of the recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next item, Gary.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. The next property is the Paul Kudrowski property. This is on State Highway 40, just about a quarter mile west of the Genio plant. And this again was a site that we received a complaint on in the spring, in April. And I've been working with the property owner again throughout this summer season. Some progress made, some steps that you'd not notice that progress has been made. But again, a very similar situation to the last one. Having visited with Paul today and just recently as well, some significant progress has been made, but there's certainly still, as you can see again in the October 7th photos, a significant amount of some unlicensed vehicles and appliances, et cetera, were on the property. So staff is still recommending the same with the last one, that the county board order staff to abate the nuisances, and with the cost being incurred to the property owner.
All right, you've heard the recommendation of staff. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to proceed as recommended by Gary Gear here.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Discussion. So relatively similar as to the last one, but there's probably more volume here.
There's more volume, yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, very good. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor of the recommendation of staff, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Gary,
Could I ask Gary a question?
you certainly may.
Similar to this. I got a call from somebody from a town. Do the local towns, do they handle these issues, or do they come to you, or how does that work?
The nuisance ordinance only applies to outside of city limits. So
Okay.
they would have to have something through their city council. to-
Okay, I think I gave them the right information then, so.
Sounds real good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And then at this time, we have Planning Commission recommendation. Eric Van Dyken, zoning administrator, will present. Eric, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Thank you. Eric Van Dyken, County Zoning Administrator, here with a single action item request from the October 13th meeting of the Planning Commission. We had a single hearing, a request for a conditional use permit for a hospitality and event center. This is on property in Section 8 of Wilmer Township, just northwest of town, west of the college, I guess you could say. It's property owned by the Kavins, and the applicant is Sarah Solberg. The nature of the request is around hospitality event center in particular with a focus on weddings, but also allowing for other potential, maybe corporate retreats or activities, things of that nature. So kind of some focus, but then also a broader applicability for other things that the community might want. There was a fair amount of interest in this application. You can see in the minutes a fair amount of discussion. A fair amount of that had to do with the road. Unfortunately for the township, they've had a bit of an issue over time where there's been a fair amount of cut through in that area coming off Highway 12. There's a little route where people can kind of cut through and avoid some roundabouts and stuff, and they've even had some fair amount of heavy traffic there. So the citizens in that area are starting with a level of concern over the road, and so that was a significant part of the discussion. As the evening went on. Following discussion, the Planning Commission did recommend approval of the request with 4 conditions and the findings as you see. I'll just highlight in particular condition number 2 and condition number 4. Condition number 2 was a subject of a fair amount of discussion as well. The idea of sound and sound carrying, how much might that impact people around, and for most of the weddings that I've been to, the ceremony itself is not that boisterous, and yet it's the after activities, in particular dances and bands and that sort of thing. And so there's an effort to keep that sound indoors so that that doesn't have the ability to carry and impact those in some of the residential areas that are roughly around a quarter mile away. You can see some concentrations of residential. And then number 4 is a condition that staff recommended, and then it was altered a little bit by the township at the request of the township to make that even more. So there's a recommendation there for a mile's worth of chloride application done in consultation with Wilmer Township. So just highlighting those 2 as kind of attempting really to especially address some of the concerns that were raised in discussion. So with those 4 conditions and the findings, as you see in the draft minutes, staff recommends approval.
All right, you've heard the recommendation of staff. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion to adopt this permit with conditions and findings as proposed.
We're going to do a motion first.
I want to say something first.
We're,
45th Street Northwest.
no, hang on just a minute here. We're dealing with a motion and a second, and we don't, and the time for public input was at the Planning Commission meeting.
How come I never got told about it?
Sir, I don't know. I don't know.
Somebody is not doing their job.
Well,
Because I live right on 45th Street. And I
we're gonna take a recess.
IT, are you ready?
The Candida County Board of Commissioners is back from recess. Mr. Van Dyken, you have made a recommendation. We were at, did we have a motion and a second on this already?
Yep, Mr. Chair.
And did we have a second?
I'll second it. I don't think we did.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second on the Planning Commission recommendation to approve the conditional use permit with the findings and conditions. Is there any discussion? Commissioner Imdak.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The gentleman in the audience is concerned that he did not receive proper notification. Did he fall within the range of where notification would have taken place?
I apologize, Commissioner Imdak, I'm not sure I'm familiar with the gentleman's name, and so I couldn't say that for sure. So our notification radius is a quarter mile or the 10 nearest, whichever is greater. In this case, it would have been quite a ways over 10. I have a pretty significant printout here. I'm just not familiar with the gentleman's name. And certainly, I'd be glad to meet with him and work through that.
Well, I'm a little concerned that if it was an oversight that needs to be rectified, that if we go ahead and pass this today, it might come back to bite us later if in fact it was an oversight and was missed, so.
Yeah, I don't believe so. We have a pretty standardized.
I think we should table this action and keep the program moving, or let them figure that out, and then we'll come back and finish it before the day is out, but we can at least keep going with our rest of our agenda. So I'd move to table this to later in the meeting so they can confer and clarify that.
There's a motion to table. Is there a second?
Mr. Chair, can I just have a question about that? Is that something that?
You can ask a question, sure.
Yeah, can we have more discussion and table it later? Or is that too much of a question? Because there's other aspects of this whole thing that you might want to present now. I don't know.
Well, so the recommendation, which has been moved and seconded, is to accept the commission's findings. So then the subsidiary motion was to table. And in the absence of a second, which I have yet to note, if it does not receive a second, then that motion will die.
Well, I'll second that motion for discussion, because that's what we're doing, the discussion, the motion.
And we're also trying to have a discussion about the main motion as well, but we'll take care of this one first. So,
Mr. Chair.
what are we going to accomplish by this? Because from what I think I'm hearing, notice was mailed out to everybody within that required area. Yes.
To the best of my knowledge, what I certainly can do per Commissioner Imdak's concern there is if you did pass a motion to table, I understand that's tabling within the meeting or postponed within this meeting. I'd be glad to meet with the applicant to understand where he lives, and then I could factually answer that conclusively one way or the other. I just don't have the information to answer that.
All right, then,
Mr. Chair, I did have.
Commissioner Imdak.
Yeah, so the distinction between tabling and postponing is postponing would be to another meeting. Tabling is simply laying on the table till we can get some information, and we can proceed with the rest of the agenda, and we'll take it back off the table before we adjourn today.
That's a clarification that I think I can live with. So, and thank you for that. Is the seconder fine with?
Yes.
Okay. Then the motion to table till the end of the meeting, action on this item has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to table, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, motion passes. We'll then move on to the director update, and my understanding is that Director Khan is not able to be here today, attending to a family matter, so we'll leave this to Administrator Baker.
Good morning, Kelsey Baker, Candioi County Administrator. Like, as the board chair said, can't see here. Caroline is unable to be here today, and so she asked me to step in. I'm also going to be asking one of our financial supervisors, Dana Wenish, to come up and talk more of the technical side. But we wanted to provide an update to the Board of Commissioners regarding some of the federal shutdown and the SNAP, MFIP. DCYF, the Department of Children, Youth, and Families within DHS, Department of Human Services, has directed all counties to discontinue SNAP and MFIP benefits approvals for November. This includes both food and cash benefits, other programs, housing support, refugee cash, WIC, all of those other programs will still continue as normal. So we were first notified on October 14th, right before noon, from the DCYF commissioner of the potential impacts to SNAP and MFIP benefits due to the ongoing federal shutdown. So I'm just gonna give kind of an overview of the timeline. So Wednesday, October 15th, pending SNAP applications processed on or after this date cannot be approved. And then Tuesday, today, October 21st, DCYF will issue statewide notice to SNAP and MFIP recipients that November benefits will not be issued. Wednesday, October 29th, active, reinstated, or pending MFIP cases processed on or after this date cannot be approved. And then Saturday, November 1st, active or reinstated SNAP cases processed on or after this date cannot be approved. And saying all of these things, even if the government were to do reinstate November 1, these benefits will not be available come November because of the delayed action from the federal government. So what happened on last Tuesday, October 14th, the director and all of the leadership and myself attended a meeting to talk about operational and community impacts. We communicated the pending impacts to the county board and administration, and we notified all Health and Human Services staff. This triage some internal work and pending cases that were reassigned with internal workloads to accelerate approvals. And that was about approximately 45 applications that our staff were able to identify that we could get those moving prior to some of these deadlines. I want to say our staff did a phenomenal job with communicating with these recipients, with our community partners. And I think the main point that we want to make clear today is we want our constituents, our recipients, and the county board to be informed of what is going on and that we are doing something. We're not just reaching out to community partners, we are specifically reaching out to philanthropy because we will need help where they will be able to step in, and our food access points. And so we are also thinking of ways of what our county staff and what our county residents can do for these individuals that would be just out of their own heart on what we could do, a canned food drive, things like that. Because this does affect and will impact people and their lives. And so, like I said, we began preparing support resources, including staff communication guide with key talking points. I think this is a big kudos to our director. And in all reality, other counties took exactly what we did and just changed the county from our name to their name. I think one thing, like I said, Caroline sent out staff communication. So when we have individuals call in, they have a guide. And that is a consistent message that Candioi County is sending to our recipients. And I think that was the key point, that we wanted that consistent messaging and we needed it to start with us. So like I said, then last Wednesday, we distributed staff communication and resource materials. The first day of the shutdown shutdown impacts were publicly reported in state news. We received clarification though, however, from DCYF that the previous communication had an error regarding applications and that they would take applications through the end of October 15th. Side note on this, many counties actually mandated staff to stay that Tuesday evening in overtime to process payment or process applications. So that was a little bit of a hiccup from DCYF, but we did not do that. So we were fortunate there. And then I think we just are working to provide updated information to our community partners to support food service amplification during this time. And we're working on developing coordinated internal agency response. And so I'm gonna ask Dana to come up and talk a little bit more about the technical side of things. How many individuals this is impacting. She'll maybe go into a little bit more of a timeline. And we don't want to be doom and gloom, right? So Dana will also keep it short and high level. And if you have any further questions, yeah, the board chair can direct that, so.
Hello, I'm Dana Winish, Financial Assistant Supervisor. I oversee the SNAP and MFIP programs and income maintenance. So I just want to start with stating our timeline very lightly. As Ms. Baker had said, Tuesday, October 14th, 11:26 a.m., we first started getting communication that we'd no longer be able to approve SNAP benefits after 10 p.m. on that same day. As of October 15th, any cases pending for SNAP would no longer be able to be approved. My staff is they're very communicative with me, and they all communicated to me that they thought they could get through every pending case that would be eligible to get approvals done that day. So there was a lot of contacting of clients to see if we could get last-minute verifications in. And again, about 45 of those pending applications were able to be processed so that those people would at least get the October benefits. At this time, October benefits have been paid in full through today with any eligible applications. So October benefits are covered. At this time, November benefits will not be going out to enrollees. We have not had any further communications or heard of any upcoming changes to that. There are questions on the SNAP piece of that part?
Commissioner Imdahl.
Thank you. Thanks, Ms. Winish. Ms. Winish, is it all applications that are gonna get cut off, including those that were eligible, say, in September and are being renewed, or is it just the new application?
No, all enrollees and applicants will not be able to be eligible for November benefits until they have released those funds.
Okay. And then I'm looking at AMC's website, and it says workers should continue to accept applications and may enter them into Maxis. So that means that if the shutdown would end, then they would be ready and able to resume funding and receiving of the funds.
Correct. And part of our timeline that comes a little bit further, on October 16th, we got direction from DCYF that we should be entering all new applications and renewals, updating cases, and we can approve, but there's a 5-sentence comment that we need to add to those approval memos, just stating that at this time you will not get November benefits, but this is what you're approved for.
Commissioner Berg.
Just to recap all this, so November 1st, people on SNAP won't be getting any benefits. But we're trying to get it that if and when things get straightened out, then we can be going forward with that. So meantime, if I understand Administrator Baker too, you're saying we're trying to work with other resources in the community to try to fill some of those gaps. But at this point, then, we're not using any county dollars, but you have not heard that the state's not stepping up then at all and saying, hey, counties, we're gonna give you so many dollars to help make the food shelves or whatever more effective.
Correct, we have not, and I think that was a really good question that Commissioner Imdahl brought up, because it doesn't mean that our staff are now just gonna sit and twiddle their thumbs. They will still process applications and be ready for when though they release their funds, that will happen. But anybody that is enrolled, I think that is probably the point we have to drive home. Anybody that's enrolled will not receive their November benefits. So as to Commissioner Berg's point, that is where we're really, I think where Caroline has really stepped up and is emailing our community partners. She emailed our department head groups like, hey, these are all our neighbors. How can we help chip in? But to your point, has the state stepped up and said, hey, we can offer this? No, they have not. I don't foresee them doing that. And so that's where, when we all say counties are resilient, that's what we are. Because that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna look at our resources that we have available and see what we can come up with.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
may I just follow up on that too? And this is not impacting WIC program.
Correct.
Right, this is just a SNAP program, but it will impact MFIP clients.
Correct.
It's a lot of, yeah. What number of people are we talking about again?
She'll get there.
So, do you want me to run that now, or should we keep going?
Oh, you
It's
got,
okay. Nope, I have a bunch of
I have a bad
statistics.
habit
Oh,
of jumping
it's okay.
ahead on people.
I just wasn't sure if you want me bouncing back and
Finish
forth.
your presentation, yes,
Okay.
please.
So then, October 16th, they had then decided that there will not be a blocker put on for approvals, and so we're supposed to continue, as we were talking about, to approve these so that when the benefits come through, allegedly, there is going to be a process for them to just release these funds. They have not given us any more information than that, just that they have an idea in mind. Let's see here. On October 17th, that verbiage, those 5 sentences I was talking about, I'm trying to lay out the timeline here, so we're just kind of doing the best we can. With the 14th, 15th, and 16th approvals, then we needed to go back and add all of that verbiage to everybody's approval letters or send out memos. Does anyone have questions on the SNAP part? Because I'm just gonna kind of dive into MFIP real quick. All right. October benefits have been paid, so that includes the cash and the SNAP portions of the MFIP grants. So because MFIP can't be separated, they will not, at this time, they will not be paying the cash portion or the food portion of the MFIP grants. So as of November 1st, clients will not be receiving their benefits for, things like their rent and their housing grants, their food. I'm just gonna lay out a timeline on the MFIP piece as well, because it did come a little differently. The 14th and 15th, the same communication came out, but then on the 15th at 1:07, 2 hours after we got some communication from them, we got a mixed message about MFIP applications can continue to be processed business as usual. But if the federal shutdown goes through 10/28, there's not a decision yet on whether or not they are actually going to pay benefits. So right now, we have a no. Could it be a yes? Maybe. We just don't have enough clarification from them to be able to move forward with that part. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna go into numbers.
I'm jumping ahead. Go ahead.
Well, you mentioned it, may I?
Yes.
Okay, you mentioned MFIP then won't be eligible for SNAP, but they won't be getting any benefits.
No,
I did not know that.
right.
So they won't be able to pay rent, and they have children, and babies, and
Correct. So some of those statistics, the SNAP local impact, this includes the food portion of the MFIP grant, just so that you guys know there is a separation for us. Of the children that won't be getting SNAP grants, so no food benefits going out, it's 1,699 children in our county. Adults is 2,252 adults, for a grand total of 3,951 of our residents not being able to use their SNAP benefits. MFIP local, I'll wait. All good? Any questions on that one? Okay. MFIP local impact, the cash-only portion of the grant, 313 children, 136 adults, for a total of 449 people will not be receiving their cash portion of the MFIP grants. The average grants by case is $584. Rent will go unpaid, and we have a prioritization that I've come up with, and what I looked at was if the household had other income, if they pay any shelter costs, and then how much their grants were. The amount of rent that will go unpaid in Candy, Ojai County if the MFIP cash grant doesn't go out on November 1st is $30,092. So those landlords will not get that amount of money. Just kind of to recap, what my department has done since this is we've created that response protocol to screen and approve any of those expedited SNAP cases. We've identified our high-risk clients that have the potential to have no food in November, establishing an intake process from income maintenance to refer clients to the Family First with social services if an urgent need is identified. We've identified high-risk clients that may not be able to pay housing costs in November. We've assigned outreach staff to contact those families that are identified as priority to provide referrals. We've created and communicated internal scripts for employees to use for reference. And then the KCHHS website is now updated also with current information regarding the shutdown and the benefits that may or may not be available. The other change that's happening as of November 1st, I did want to bring this up just because it is an impact, again, on our residents, is changes to SNAP benefits with utility deductions. SNAP benefits SNAP recipients that are not disabled or elderly and receive LIHEAP of $20 or more during the calendar year will no longer get a utility deduction of $667 to offset any income that unit receives. This will impact families the hardest. An example case is a single mother with 3 children aged 8 to 18. Her gross income from a job is $4,221. Her shelter costs are $1,315, and she has to pay all utilities for that rental. She receives LIHEAP of $500 to last 12 months. By removing this utility deduction due to the new federal policy, this household will lose $99 a month of food benefits. Along with that new policy, the $500 to help with those utilities will now be counted as income against the household's benefits. So potentially, over the whole year, $1,200 plus you're counting the income against them, that they will not have access for that. Does anyone have questions on my statistics?
Commissioner Imdag.
Not so much on the statistics, although I would be interested to know if you've added up all of the dollars impacted here for, say, the month of November, or even on a daily basis, depending upon how long the shutdown takes place. But if the shutdown ended, say, midway through November, would they backfill those payments to the 1st of November? Do we know that, or have they
They
indicated
won't
that?
give an answer on that at this time.
Because the reason I asked that question is because if we knew that they would backfill, we could make some suggestions, decisions on whether or not we could loan the money to the programs until we get backfilled.
Yep. I don't know if Kelsey has anything on that, but
And those are all conversations we are having. But we're in this unique spot that we're trying to get that clarification, and then how we communicate that to the board with that risk. And so I think our first step was this today here, seeing if we can continue to get that clarification, because if this does go into November, that just still trickles into December based off these timelines, based off when applications are due. And so, like I said, we're looking into that question. That is a question we're having. We're talking to our community partners, our faith-based partners, our food access points, the Link in New London, the food shelf here in Wilmer, our department heads, our county staff, our neighbors. How can we help assist these families in this time? And so any option is a good option. I think we'll be doing something countywide internally that we can help out here, that will roll out probably later this week or next week. And so I know Dana's working with her staff immensely. But go ahead and answer that question if I didn't.
no, they have not communicated to us.
And
I have
who is
asked.
they? Is it the federal DHS or the state DHS? Who's going to make that clarification if and when they do?
Well, hopefully both. When I did ask DCYF, they had said they had not gotten any direction from the USDA. So they're waiting for their answers to give us answers.
And, I'm to your point, Commissioner Imdike, you know, I'm hoping AMC will help provide some guidance on that, because we take that guidance from DCYF. So when I say they, it's a mixture of the state and federal government, because, right, who is going to make that decision? And then who's going to direct the counties on what to do? And I think that's where some of that clarification needs to happen from DCYF. And so I do wholeheartedly believe AMC is probably helping, you know, going to provide some guidance. If those reimbursements will happen, can the counties foot those bills and be reimbursed later on? So all of those answers we're looking for as well. And like I said at the beginning, we are doing something. We are working on this. But also on that flip side, it's we want to keep staff reassured and not create chaos. And this is chaos. This is going to disrupt families' lives. And so how do we keep that constant communication that we are doing something, the board is taking action, the county is taking action, and community partners are stepping up to take action as well.
And I did have that question about whether or not you have the dollar amount on a daily basis that is not coming in.
And we wrote that down, and yes, we are able to get that. Dana said she's able to get that information, because we don't, do you have that available today?
Is it like the total benefits for cash or food not paid that I might be able to?
Everything's been cut off right now, the MFib and the SNAP.
The SNAP part, I would have to get, can I use this really quick? It's a calculator.
Oh, yeah.
I can't math that far, fast. I know I didn't have mine either. So, what do we have, 150? 87,750 in cash
For the month?
for the month of November. And that's using our current statistics, so I can't
How much
anticipate.
was that? I missed that.
87,750.
That's a day, or is that every?
That's for the month.
For the month of November, and that is all benefits that are being cut, SNAP.
That's just
MFib.
cash currently. I would need to find the SNAP piece.
That's just the MFIP cash.
The cash.
MFIP cash. Yep, and you can maybe work on that. We'll get that emailed out to the board this afternoon on the SNAP.
Okay, thank you.
So to wrap this up, sorry.
Commissioner Berg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the excellent update. And thank you for you and all the staff. You've been working behind the scenes on this. And we figured you were. And we appreciate being brought up to speed and a lot more clarification going on. I'm real concerned, you know, that there's a lot of public out there thinking, well, it's not really impacting us. And it can impact us, and it is starting, and the time frame is very narrow before it hits us. And try and be as proactive as possible. And as a board, we of course want to support that and be as proactive in going forward. But one of the things we're doing, and what you're doing now, is with the media as well. You know, that we have to get the message out that this is a big deal. This is not something that's they're in Washington D.C. having an argument or something or disagreement. It's they got to make some decisions that work for us here as well. But going forward, then I see that what you're doing, and 2 weeks we're going to have another meeting, and I'm assuming that I would be really open to it'll be on the agenda again, and hopefully be hearing from you, and you're going to have more information, some more options, some more plans for us that we could be having to deal with this locally to help make this work for people, and that we don't have people out in the streets without food or housing or whatever. And people aren't going to be evicted immediately, but the landlords, and that impacts that. I mean, it impacts our economy here in Candiota County, big. And so if we needed a special session after the regular session next meeting, I certainly would be open to that we have to approve some decisions that you can bring forward to us, how we can help out individuals that are in need within reason. I'm not saying we take our cash reserves and we go do this, but where can we target if we need to? And since it's a big possibility, we got to be looking this way. But hopefully between now and then, something will come up.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Anyone else?
Yeah, thank you.
Commissioner Emdek.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna be here yet for another 45 minutes, the way the agenda looks. And I think due to the urgency and what Commissioner Berg just talked about, if you could get that SNAP month number back to us before we adjourn, that would be great.
Yep, not a problem.
Thank you.
All right. Ooh, that chaps my hide a little bit. All right, at this time, we'll have Corey Smith, Green Lake Sanitary Sewer and Water District Director, has a resolution regarding rates.
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Corey Smith. I'm the director out at Glacial Lake Sanitary Sewer and Water District. I'm here before you today for Resolution 2025-36, which is for adopting the 2026 water and sewer utility rates, meter charges, usage fees, and annual operating assessments. In 2024, prior to the start of our construction to our Phase 2 wastewater project, Eilers conducted a rate study to ensure long-term fiscal health of our utility funds. In that, for 2026, Eilers recommended increasing our capital fund, which is Fund 29, by 4%. This is for our debt services. And our operating fund, which is Fund 28, by 6.25%. This is for our day-to-day operations of the water and wastewater plant and its infrastructure. Discussions were held with the Glacial Lakes Budget Committee and the Glacial Lakes Commission. Following these discussions, it was agreed upon to adopt the rate increase that was proposed by Eilers. The rates are attached in your packet and shown as Exhibit A. In your packet, I have included the 2026 budget summary. It's the one with the blue header on it. On the top left side under meter usage and special assessment, the first line is SAC and special assessments, which that dollar amount goes for our debt services. That total dollar amount is $732,780. The next line on there is the fixed meter fees, which again goes to our debt service. Fund 29, the dollar amount is $1,745,734.92. This dollar amount is generated from the meter base fees. The next two lines on there, they go to our day-to-day operation fund, which is our Fund 28. The first one is O&M usage fees on our wastewater side, and that is $1,598,600. And the next one is the O&M usage fee for the water side for $561,000. Both dollar amounts are based off of usage. To arrive at this number, we look at trending over the last few years to estimate next year's usage. If we add all those numbers up, our 2026 projected budget is $4,638,114.92. Under that, I have the 2026 projects, which include completing Phase 2 and reapplying for the CDS grants for our 2 remaining water towers for rehabilitation. Which there is a typo, it would be the Spicer and Green Lake towers, as the New London Tower was recently rehabbed a couple of years ago. Also, we will be completing after we get the final dollar amount for the Phase 2 project. We'll be completing or updating our rate study and also incorporating and completing an asset management and water sewer model. Below that are just some quick facts of our system that I always have on here. The next page in your packet is the Exhibit A. This lays out all the sewer and water charges for 2026. As you can see, the larger the meter you have, the higher your monthly base fee will be. A vast majority of our customers all have 3/4 or 5/8 inch meters, and the largest meter in our whole system is a 4-inch meter. On September 22nd, the Glacial Lakes Commission recommended forwarding Resolution 2025-36 to the County Board for approval. With that, it is staff's and commission's recommendation to approve and adopt Resolution 2025-36 along with the rate schedule as shown in Exhibit A.
Mr. Chair, I'll move on resolution 2025-36.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Any discussion?
I just want to say that, you know, there's a very dedicated commission board out there and a subcommittee that worked really hard on this budget, and they don't take it lightly, and Corey and Paul left, and Mel, they do a great job of supporting the work that they do out there.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none, all in favor of moving on resolution 2025-36, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion to remove from the table the previous matter for the planning commission?
Also moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We'll have Mr. Van Dyken come back to the, and we have, I believe, already a motion and a second to approve the recommendations of the planning commission, yes?
Yes.
All right, then, discussion. I had one brief question. I'm going to get mine in first, Dwayne. I couldn't tell, but it looks like there's the shared drive must be on the west border that runs north-south on that, between that property and the neighbor to the west.
So are you talking about the testimony in the minutes where a gentleman talked about a shared access?
Yeah, how are they accessing this property?
Yeah, so that is on the west side there. There's a pretty significant wetland that comes through this property.
Right.
They will be accessing on the far west edge there along the wetland. And so it was that access there that the gentleman was referring
I
to.
was just looking for that clarification, so thank you. Commissioner Dwayne Anderson.
Yeah, so I have a couple questions, or I guess, so the road that the chloride is going to be applied to is 15th Avenue Northwest, am I correct on that?
That's correct.
Okay, and then that's a township road?
That's correct.
Okay, and then it looks like under one of the conditions, condition number 4, it says that the applicant or operator shall provide for annual application of chloride for dust control from Crowning Road 5 to 45th Street at a rate of 38%. My question is, what do you mean by 38%? Can you
That's
inform me on that?
That's a concentration. That's the township's preferred concentration. There are lower levels that can be applied and higher levels. I think that's a bit of a midpoint. And that was a township request, so we
Okay.
did include that.
I see, okay. So basically, any kind of road issues people would have, it's a township issue then at that point, right? I mean, if it's not getting bladed often enough or whatever, they should be bringing their concerns to the township board because it's a township road, would be my guess.
Yes, certainly they are the road authority there. It sounds like they are aware of and are working through some of those issues, some of them that have been brought on in more recent history that have been a struggle for them. That was some of the township's testimony. We had 2 township officials there. One of them testified and noted some of those areas of concern.
Yeah, and so the township is aware of all this and they've been giving their input, so, okay. So that's all my concerns are answered, so thank you.
Anyone else? Commissioner Burke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of questions. With the picture you have there, the development area, that's not only the footprint of the building, but also where the parking is going to be, or am I correct on that?
That's correct, that's correct.
That's, okay, so and there'll be ample parking. My other question too, going back to the roadway going in there, and is that even something that we would be involved in a decision, for the approval of this or not? Access there for emergency vehicles, or what kind of roads going in there that, since there's going to be possibly, many cars parked there, that's actual access to get in and out. Is that something that we would be concerned about at all? Or is that something that, when down the road for the building permits and all that is addressed with? So to clarify our doing our vote is that we're looking at, is it appropriate for the area? Is that limited to that then?
Well, I mean, it's some of the condition, or excuse me, some of the findings are relatively broad. Generally, the infrastructure that the findings are getting at are the surrounding infrastructure. So can it be served by the road and the power and stuff and those types of infrastructure? The building official will certainly be looking at this structure for classification and how many people can be there, and that will impact things like fire safety, et cetera. So I don't know if that fully gets at what you're asking, but we generally don't dictate things on private drives as far as like maximum width or something. Generally, something that people could access in and out of would be something that an emergency vehicle could enter in on.
And that would be addressed under finding number 3, primarily, which the commission finds that adequate utilities, access roads, off-street parking, other necessary facilities have been or will be provided.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else?
Mr. Chair, if I may quickly.
Yes, sir.
I would just want to explicitly address the reason for the slight delay there. I was able to confirm with the landowner that he's about twice the distance of the mandatory notification. So he was a ways outside of that notification radius.
So there's no concern from that standpoint of moving on with a decision on this, this CUP then? Commissioner Berg.
And that, I have another follow-up question. There are some concerns about neighbors near there and expressing some concerns according to your minutes of the road, of course, and noises and things like that, or people being so close. How close are they? I looked at the map and stuff. It's kind of hard for me to tell.
Yeah, so most of there's one neighbor to the northwest on the south side of the road that would be somewhere in the range of 1/8 of a mile, a little more. Most of the residential clusters, so if you go north of 15th, there's I don't remember what that platted area is called, forgive me. There's a little residential development there. If you go to the northwest a little bit, there's a little stub road with a little residential development. And if you go south, you'll into the city of Wilmer at some point there. Most of those are about a 1/4 mile or 1/4 to a 1/2 mile away. Just to give you a little bit of a context. They're kind of located right in the middle of that property. So if you can relate that to other types of separations that we have, our standard feedlot setback for a feedlot of any size is a 1/4 mile as well. So it just gives you a little bit of idea of how we set things apart and how this is set apart from some things.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? All right, we have a motion and a second to, in regard to the conditional use permit request, and the motion and second is to concur with the CUP request with applicable conditions and findings. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And then we will take a 5-minute recess upon request. Just a moment.
AT, are you ready?
Okay. A little bit. Oh, kind of surprising.
Reconvening the Candiota County Board of Commissioners at this time. We'll have a presentation from Megan DeShepper from MnDOT regarding the District 8 10-year capital highway plan. Megan, good morning. Good to see you again.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I don't believe you have copies of the map in your packet, is that correct? Okay, so Tony Fowle is our program coordinator here. He'll hand out copies.
Wait, there's more.
Give that to the press.
Oh, we got big ones like Mel does, huh? He's got the overhead.
So there's two different things that he's handing out. One is a trifold, like 11 by 17. That's our whole map.
Oh, okay.
And then there's also a single sheet that's just a zoom in of the county. Do you have a copy of each?
Megan?
Yeah.
There's going to be a request to have these maps up on the overhead if at all possible.
Okay.
So folks in here and the public
The
could
camera
see them.
above you.
Straight above.
So about where you have everything right now, if you kind of center that on the flat spot there,
I have no idea.
That's okay.
hang on.
Find out.
I don't know, would this be easy? Would the zoom in on the county specifically be easier?
Yeah, let's
for
do
your
that.
That'd be a good idea.
Sorry.
There you go.
Right there, down a little
Oh,
bit.
now I'm seeing
Pull
it.
it, pull it down just
Sorry,
a
I
bit.
didn't know where I was looking.
You're good.
You guys have high tech here. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay.
All right, go ahead.
And my apologies for not having that in your packet. We had sent them, but evidently missed the cutoff for your board's packet. So my apologies on that. So to introduce myself, I'm Megan DeShepper. I'm the District 8 Planning Director, and we handle the 12-county southwest portion of Minnesota for MnDOT. And with me, I have Tony Fowle, who is our program coordinator at the district, and I also brought our new corridor planner, Mallory Jarvie Schaefer, who was just started with us in August. So before you, the 11 by 17 is the full district map for our 10-year CHIP, and then I also got, which is up on the screen here, the zoom in of just Candiota County for our projects, just for ease. And so thank you for having us again, as you do every year. We do appreciate that, to share our area transportation improvement program. So the ATIP, those are the first 4 years of the draft plan here. That our ATP, which Mel and others participate in, is our Area Transportation Partnership. And so those first 4 years go into the STIP with the other districts of the state, and that basically formulates our whole statewide capital highway improvement program. So 2026 through 2029, those projects are committed projects. So they've been fully scoped. We know how we're going to fund them, and they're not as likely to change. Whereas the outer years of the capital highway improvement investment plan, so 2030 through 2035, those years are much more fluid. We don't have the legislative money set for those. The pavement fixes could change. They aren't fully scoped. Sometimes the start or stop point of the project might change. So those are much more fluid. Some things that you maybe saw last year, they aren't the same this year, and they'll change again next year based off of our funding allocations. So I'll go through projects in your county, and feel free to stop me or ask questions along the way. The first project is in fiscal year 2026, and that is red on the map right here. So that's a TED project in Wilmer on Highway 40, constructing right and left turn lanes into the industrial park. Next on your map is fiscal year 2027, which is orange colored. And this is one you're all familiar with on Highway 23 and Highway 9, an interchange in New London there, and that includes a realignment of Highway 40. Next on your map is fiscal year 2031, which is purple on the map. And we have two projects, they're hard to differentiate here on the map, in Wilmer on Highway 12. One being from 6th Street Southeast to 23rd Street Southeast, and that's a medium mill and overlay. And the second project, also on Highway 12, is from 7th Street Southwest to Dolson Street Southwest, so kind of through downtown there. That's a medium mill and overlay. We'll also be replacing some signals at 2nd and 7th. We'll be removing a signal at 3rd, and also repairing that retaining wall that's on kind of the southeast side of that project. And lastly, also on Highway 12, over towards Atwater, just 2 miles west of Atwater, there's a bridge that goes over the BNSF line. They're gonna scarify and overlay that bridge. Next on your map is fiscal year 2032, which is the brown color. We've got a project out on Highway 40. This is west of Wilmer from County Road 4, so that's old Highway 277, all the way to Wilmer, and that's a medium mill and overlay. And another project we have is on South Highway 71. That's from Minnesota 7 up to Wilmer, and that's a mill and overlay project. And our last project is in fiscal year 2033. It's the one that's almost off the page here on the light pink or salmon color on Highway 7. And so that's from the roundabout at 71 there over to Highway 4. And that's a medium mill and overlay. And those are the projects we have on our current CHIP for Kansas County.
I'm going to ask a question real quick on the one in downtown. I remember there was an open house on that, and so that's going to be quite a change. There's not going to be 2 lanes of traffic going in each direction through there anymore, and there's going to be some room for pedestrians and bicycles, as I recall. But there's also going to be at least one rail crossing that's, do I remember that correctly, is going to be eliminated on the west side?
I don't know that for sure, Steve, but I can verify. So you're saying at like,
It's 7th, and I think 7th and or 10th. And that was the proposal at that time, and I think there was some input given that that would not be a good thing for access to and from the north side.
sure. Yeah, I will reach out to the PM. I don't know the detail of that, and I can let Mel know
Sure.
what was the outcome of that. I have not heard that.
Yep, no worries, thank you. Anyone else with any questions? Dale, Commissioner Dale.
And maybe I've asked you the last time you were here about this, but if a road starts deteriorating faster, this is a fluid map, I would guess, it moves and can move and shake. So let's just take Highway 40, that's out there quite a ways. So if that starts to fall apart, so where do you get the funding from quicker, or can you just adjust and take it away from another project and bring it to that, or how, I mean, I know there's a big process to it. But
Yeah.
That's generally what we do is just swap our funding from one road.
I need you to speak in the mic.
Yeah, that's generally what we try to do is take from a different project and
put it
go to that one, so.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and continue.
Okay, I went over all the projects on your county list for the 10-year CHIP.
Okay, are there any questions?
Good update.
When you're doing this work on 40, is that going to be widened out, additional shoulders, anything like that, or?
No additional shoulders at this time. We did do a shoulder widening study several years ago to try to get a grasp on prioritizing, because we do have several highways that have narrow or no shoulders that are a safety concern for us. And so we do have a priority list. We have applied for special funding for our shoulder widening on Highway 40 specifically in the past through the Freight Highway Improvement Program. We were not successful. They had another solicitation this summer and we submitted yet again. So we don't know yet if we were successful in obtaining any funds for that. But we certainly don't have enough funding to do that at this time. Expanding shoulders where they don't exist on a stretch like that is quite costly.
And so is the loss of life, but,
Correct.
you know,
Yep.
I guess my opinion is that if any of the decision makers on something like that want to know if it's a worthy project or not, just drive it.
Yeah.
So, anyone else? Commissioner Emdek.
Thank you. Two questions on the 2027 project up at New London. Bid letting, I assume, will be fairly early in 2026, or do you know when bid letting?
I think it's a December letting for that project, but
This year, yeah,
yeah, 26.
in December of 26, thank you. And I already forgot my other questions. I'll ask you offline.
No problem.
All right, anyone else? All right, well, thank you for the update. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thanks for having us.
And I'm sure you have somewhere else to be, so safe
Thank you.
travels.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, we'll have Mel Otens, has Resolution 2025-37 for us. Mel, good morning.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, what you have in front of you is a resolution for consideration that would authorize the state to finalize a grant for, it's an IIJ matching grant. You might recall that the state did matching grants. If you were able to get a federal grant, they would do a matching grant of 20% of your project on anything that's eligible. We did apply and we were successful in getting, in May of this year, we got a $1.929 $825 matching grant. And so it's my recommendation to accept the grant and pass Resolution 2025-37, which would authorize the administrator and the chair to sign on behalf of the county.
You've heard the recommendation of staff. Is there a motion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair,
Dwayne Anderson.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to pass Resolution 2025-37.
I'll second that.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second discussion. So you found more money for your bridge.
Well, that's right.
I just had to toss that one in there. So, any questions, discussion? Motion made and seconded to move on the resolution. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Mr. Chair, I thought of my question, and Mel might be able to answer it. Could I?
You can ask it.
So the project at New London, to your knowledge, are there any federal funds involved in that?
No, it's
So
quarters
shutdown
dollars.
should affect
Nope.
anything. Thank you.
All right, very good. At this time, we're going to recess the Board of Commissioners and move directly into the Drainage Ditch Authority meeting. So we will recess the Candiota County Board of Commissioners and convene the Drainage Ditch Authority, and Austin has some good stuff for us here.
Thank you, sir.
Morning, Mr. Chair, Austin Hill Branch Drainage Manager, Candiota County. What's that?
Is it on that?
Yes, on this computer. First thing I'll have is the Drainage Authority minutes from October 7th.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt the Drainage Authority meeting minutes from October 7th of 2025.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All right. All in favor of approving the meeting minutes from October 7th, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
So the next thing I have for you, I would like to initiate the redetermination of benefits for County District 27 and 29. So what I will do is I'll go through the redetermination process, then we can dive into each system. Then in your packet, there is a draft findings in order to initiate both systems, or each system individually, I should say. So the, kind of in the history of drainage law in Minnesota, in the 1890s in the Red River Valley is where they engineered, constructed, and financed large-scale drainage projects by assessing lands benefited. This process became state law in the 1890s and is still kind of what drainage law today follows for over 135 years. So redetermination of benefits is part of that process. So when the ditch system was dug, you know, the benefited landowners were generally the people touching the ditch system. A lot of our ditch systems had improvements in the 1970s, 60s, and 80s, where that, after that, during that time, they redetermined the ditch systems and benefits were given to the people a little bit further up on the side hills. And now today, under Minnesota Statute 351, or 103, 351, the whole watershed is included in any redetermination of benefits. So what is a drainage benefit? So this would be what the land would look like before the ditch system came through. Your A acres would be the low ground. That would be standing water or cattails without a public drainage system. Your B acres would be along the fringe or low ground that may have been seasonally flooded or considered wet pasture. C acres are wetter for a longer time, and would delay tillage and crop planting while the rest of the field is ready. And then D is the top of the hills. They don't specifically need artificial drainage, but they do contribute surface waters to the drainage system. So now the D acres are included in any redetermination. So that redetermination of benefits process follows Minnesota Statute 103, 351. If the drainage authority determines the benefit or damages do not reflect reasonable present day land values or the benefit of damages areas have changed, we can initiate this process. We appoint 3 disinterested viewers to view all the land within the watershed of the drainage system. We actually appoint a team. There's 3 main and then up to 2 alternates. All farmland is assigned. All land is assigned a classification per acre. Farmland is the ABCD acres that we just went over. There's also classification for road, cities, houses, forests, wetlands, grasslands, and lake cabins. Proximity adjustments to how close you are to the public system, and then it'll add anyone who drains into the system that is not currently paying benefits. So what we get from that, we get the total benefits for the ditch system for each acre. So that sets, that total benefit we use to set repair and maintenance or improvements. They cannot exceed that total benefit. It equitably divides the cost of repair and maintenance on the ditch system based on everybody's parcel, every parcel's individual benefit, and it sets the limit allowed for special assessments and totals in the repair fund for each system. The individual benefit, landowners will want to look at that. You can divide your individual benefit by the total benefit to get the percentage that that they would pay for any repair and maintenance based off a special assessment we set for the ditch system. After the mid-1980s, anytime we do a redetermination of benefits, if the buffer damages haven't been purchased, we have to purchase those as part of this. That's an easement for the system, or easement for the drainage authority to do repair and maintenance on the system. So that's 1 rod, 16.5 feet. So we'll jump into County Ditch 27 here. So County Ditch 27 outlets in the southwest corner of West Norway Lake. It's all in Arctander Township. There will be most likely be a portion that is actually draining from Swift County. So we will address that if the viewers determine that there is water coming from Swift County. This system may end up becoming a joint county system. There is a court-ordered culvert. Yeah. So that was mapped. So County Ditch 27 was established in 1907. They were last redetermined in 1979. This was the last improvement. That's 46 years old. The current benefits is $600,009 or $600,009. Just under 700,000. There we go. 21.45 miles open ditch, 457 miles of county tile. Pain. And then buffer damages have not been purchased on this system. So what we have listed in your draft findings in order there, the current benefits rolls reflect viewer determinations made at the time based on land use and property valuations that existed or were anticipated in 1979. Since 1979, land use patterns, agriculture practices, and drainage demands within the watershed of County Ditch 27 have continued to evolve, including the increased intensity of cropping systems, installation of private drainage infrastructure, and shifts in property development and valuation. The benefit areas and values currently on the record no longer reflect the properties that use and derive this benefit from County Ditch 27. The nature and extent and value of benefits occurring to lands from County Ditch 7 have changed due to accelerated water flow, altered hydrology, and increased reliance on the public drainage system. These changes warrant a reassessment to ensure equitable allocation of benefits and compliance with statutory requirements. So I have a list of recommended viewers. The lead viewer would be Ron Rehnquist, Dave Schmidt, Jeff Johnson, Brad Wick, and Darren Post. So I would look for a motion to initiate the redetermination of benefits and damages, appointing viewers for County Ditch 27, as shown in your draft findings.
Commissioner, who wants it?
I can do it. Mr. Chair, I move to adopt the findings in order initiating redetermination of benefits and damages and appointing viewers for County Ditch 27.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We have a motion made and seconded. Is there a discussion?
Just one thing, I know that there was, in our ditch conversation about Norway Lake, there were some areas that were not actually like owned by anybody. Does this address that issue?
Correct. There is one of our departments has those parcels identified, who pays taxes on those, and the
Okay.
viewers would use that same information.
Okay,
Yep. The assessor's office, I believe.
sure.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor of the CD 27 redetermination process, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Austin, go ahead.
So County Ditch 29 is the next one. This drains into the northwest side of West Norway Lake. Majority of it isn't going to be in Norway Lake Township, and a little bit in Arctander there. So County Ditch 29 was established in 1908. The benefits were last redetermined in 1978, so they're 47 years old. There's a little bit more than 150,000 for the current benefits. This includes about 7.2 miles of open ditch. Buffer damages have not been purchased on this system either. So this will match the same as what we just discussed for County Ditch 27, that the current benefit roll reflects viewer determinations made back in 1978.
Thank you, and is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt the findings in order initiating the redetermination of benefits and damages and appointing the viewers to County Ditch number 29.
I'll second that.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
If I may.
Yes.
So the County Ditch 29 viewers, we did have to remove Jeff Johnson, because he does own land on that system, so he cannot be a viewer on this system. So we only have 4 viewers on this one. So, and that matches what's in your draft findings in order.
Thank you. Any other comments, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed. Motion passes. Austin, thank you so much. Thank you again for your patience. as
Thank you
well.
for your time.
We did. Mr. Chair, I move to close the Drainage Authority.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to close the Drainage Authority meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The Drainage Authority meeting is closed, and we will reconvene the Candiac County Board of Commissioners. At this point in time, I'm going to ask Administrator Baker to circle back on the Candiac County Park West update.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Kelsey Baker, and I can finally say good afternoon. Kelsey Baker, County Administrator. Let me just get set up here. I apologize for having a little laughing moment there. prior to being in Candioi County, I was in Swift County and I lived close to that area. I grew up close to that area, I should say, and it was always kind of an ongoing thing that was discussed. And Austin and I have talked about it, Arctander Township individuals have talked about it, so we're actually doing something about it now. So it was, okay. So before you in your packets today, you have information regarding somewhat of a general county park update, but more so related to Big Candy West and somewhat of a Big Candy East. I would like to provide, like I said, the update regarding a proposed transition in park management for Big Candy East and Big Candy West. Currently, our Big Candy West managers are retiring and ending their seasons as camp managers or park managers. And so with that, this has been their last summer. They had a farewell party out there earlier in August that some of you and myself attended, and it was very well attended with campers and individuals and community members from the area. And I just we're gonna have a park managers meeting this Friday. But I think Candioi County has had a phenomenal relationship with the managers, Bud and Joan there for many years. And many individuals, campers have met Bud and Joan throughout the years. And I just want to wish them the best in their future endeavors, and that I had a great working relationship with them. They did many great things for the park. And so we wish them the best. But because of their transition, it's causing this transition now. So here we are. And so we have park managers currently assigned to Big Candy East that I would propose that would assume responsibilities for overseeing both county parks. This would also ensure adequate on-site presence during the camping season. A seasonal staff member would be hired at Big Candy West to kind of manage the day-to-day when the managers can't be there. This approach maintains the on-site contact for campers while reducing operational costs associated with some of the overhead costs. This isn't a huge cost savings as of right now. Some of the ancillary cost savings are we wouldn't be training in new park managers. They're not learning new systems and software. Our staff aren't training in some of the new park managers on what needs to be done, how do you do it, some of those things. And so we would be eliminating the managers living at this house full-time. The managers would live there throughout the camping season of 2026 for now. Because this is something new that we're trying, we want to keep it as consistent as possible. And so that is where the managers they have the opportunity to live in the residence that's on site on West for 2026. We'll see how the camp host goes. And then depending on the end of 26, then we'll reevaluate and pivot and adjust if need be. Consistent with past practice, when a park manager vacancy does occur, current managers within our park management system are given the opportunity. And so naturally, I look to Big Candy East to see if they would have been interested, and they have expressed interest. I have a great working relationship with Chad and Dana as well. They are go-getters, they're hard workers, they're not afraid to work. And so by trying this option, I do feel confident in this proposed transition. I've had already conversations with our auditor, treasurer, staff, and myself on financial considerations that will need to be evaluated. Like I said, including adjustments to the existing house payments that we provide to the managers, compensation structure, other possible alternatives. Given the broad implications of county park management overall, it may be beneficial for the board to have a work session long-term. I will leave that up to the board. But I think short-term right now, I would propose that we merge, not necessarily merge these two parks, but merge the managers. And as you can see, I'm not gonna go into detail on the park income statements for each of them. But as you can see, Park East is always slightly under for revenue, and it has been for many years. And so you can see where West is slightly higher, so that's where I think this transition is a good option to at least try. Overall, our parks perform very strong financially. Year-to-date, our operations, we do trend above budget. Rightfully so, that revenue is split. Under 50%, it goes to the county, goes to the park managers, that they then maintain our parks. The position for the parks, this is a long-term reinvestment, capital planning and operational restructuring. I think this is something that, for me, has been a huge side project, in a sense that this is such a long-standing history of Candioi County that we have these parks, and how do we sustain that? And how do we prioritize investment into aging infrastructure? Like I said, east and west, west creates more revenue. East is always a little bit on the slider. You'll see for Green Lake, we were over on the capital improvements. That was because we did the patio. That wasn't necessarily budgeted. And for me, that was a big thing, but also played into a safety factor by adding that patio for the campers and the park managers at Green Lake. As you'll see in the report, Games Lake is tracking a little bit higher on our net income and other targets. And I think some of this is notable increase in maintenance activity, that our parks are aging. And how do we actively reinvest in some of the parks, and so that we can continue this consistent system that we do have. Demands continue to be high when it comes to maintenance projects within the parks. And that plays into cost discipline. When our managers are given a budget, and that is the money they have to work with. And so it's a lot of infrastructure and emerging needs within the parks. Overall, though, our park management system is functioning very well. Like I said, I'm proposing this park management transition between Big Candy East and West, to continue to look at operational efficiency, staffing flexibility, and to continue to look into the strategic investment and maintaining our county parks within the county.
Thank you. So this is for information only? This is, or are you looking for an action of some sort?
Well, I'm looking for a consensus to continue moving forward with this transition. We do have our park managers meeting on Friday. Typically, the contracts between the county and the park managers, the county administrator signs. And so those contracts will be renewed for 1/1 of '26. Following the park management meeting on Friday, I'll bring back if there are any changes to our park policy and provide more of an update at that meeting. I just wanted to we've been working on this. I've been working with Dale and Dwayne as the park committee commissioners. We've had many conversations on this. It hasn't been kind of an easy answer to try something like this, but I feel really confident in Chad and Dana to do this. And I do think, in visiting with Chad yesterday, I think they would regret if they didn't try something like this. And I think it's very forward-thinking in how we could do something, and having those conversations, if there could be slight cost savings overall for the county park system, I think that would benefit us all.
Okay. Any comments, questions?
We could do a resolution to go ahead, move with this, right? You said you just wanted to nod, but maybe we should do a resolution.
I would, Mr. Chair, I would agree with that. I mean, a consensus is an action, so I just keep it clean and do a resolution, or ask for an action at it for another.
So what do you want the resolution to say?
Let staff figure that out.
To follow recommendations as stated in
Yeah,
the presentation here.
if I can clarify,
Move forward. Yes.
resolution, more so a motion.
Or motion, rather. Yes, thank you.
I think the motion would state then to continue for staff to move forward with the transition between Big Candy West and East Park management.
I so move.
Okay. And is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
All right, we have a motion and a second to continue working on solutions and bringing forward a resolution to those. There you go. Not a resolution.
It's been a long morning.
It's been a long morning. Any comments, discussion? Dwayne?
I just have a comment. according to our administrator, and I know a past administrator as well, they both have said that what we do is very unique compared to other counties in the state or anywhere that you really know of. So I think we're kind of starting to move in the direction of aligning ourselves with maybe other counties a little bit more. So it's a baby step, but it's kind of the way things, fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, are moving.
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Berg.
Yes, I have to say, I'm a little uncomfortable with doing this, because it's not tradition, but you said, giving this a try, see if we can go forward and try to be proactive in this, and I think it's worth that effort.
I agree. I think it's relatively low stakes, and if you try something and it needs just a few tweaks, great. If not, try something else. So, Dale, did you want?
Well, I just think that, we've been worrying so much about, fiscal responsibility, and to me, this is the way to do a little baby step and try to make these parks a little more fiscally responsible too. So I think it's a great option to look at, and like you said, we either can change it later or go further with it. So.
Really looking at a model of sustainability long-term for this is really what we're doing, so. All right, anybody else? All right, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. We are now down to administrative updates, appointments, and we have one item that is the need to move the December 2nd regular board meeting to the afternoon to align with the Truth and Taxation meeting that's going to take place that evening.
If I may, Mr. Chair, yes, we've done that in the past. That seems to work well for you guys. If you're okay with that, we would just need a motion to move that board meeting, and then we would, this is technically that public notice then that it would be listed on our agendas.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to move our December 2nd meeting, our regular board meeting from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. that day due to the Truth and Taxation meeting at 6.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I'm just happy that our meeting doesn't occur on the AMC week, so.
If I may, Mr. Chair, to follow up on the SNAP conversation, our staff are amazing. Dana was able to get these numbers, so if you all want to write these down, I think what I'll also do is follow up with Caroline tomorrow, and we will get an email sent out to you later this week or next week. But I'm going to pull an Austin here, $523,600 in SNAP benefits not going out for November. She had a correction to the cash not being distributed. That's a total of $49,120. These are through September 30th, 2025. This is the most recent information that we do have. To clarify where the $87,750 number came up with, that number with the MFIP included the SNAP benefits. So we go back to, if you need clarification, I have it, and like I said, we will also get this out in an email.
So, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Would you repeat the SNAP portion of that? So this is the month of September, so if we correlate that with the month of November, that's what.
Yep,
you know.
yep.
So the SNAP amount?
$523,600 in SNAP benefits not going out for November. And then the correction to the cash not being distributed is $49,120.
The cash, Mr. Chair, the cash being the MFIP?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, thank you for that additional information. Go ahead.
If I may do my report out quick, or not necessarily report out, but I did meet with the chair and the vice chair this morning regarding the budget. I will be sending out an email to the board later this week on some expenses where there may be some opportunity. And then I'm hoping to do a budget update at the November 4th meeting, and then that gives you time before the TNT meeting to ask staff or myself any questions.
Outstanding. Does anyone else have anything that they wish to bring forward at this time? We're just, anything that's high priority? And we'll hopefully at our next meeting be able to do some fuller report outs. All right, hearing none, then with the Candida County Board of Commissioners adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
So this ends.